Hey guys, J-Man here with another episode of Versus. I'm just getting my notes ready here. Today we're going to be covering two arguably not great movies, but these movies do have their fans, and it is Spider-Man happy hour because No Way Home, and everyone loves Spider-Man now. He's their favorite superhero. They've loved him since childhood. All superheroes suck now compared to Spider-Man. He's the best ever until they make a crappy movie, and then no one will like him again. And we'll just go through that cycle forever. But we're looking at The Amazing Spider-Man #1 versus The Amazing Spider-Man #2. Again, a lot of people don't like either of these films. I was sort of in that camp. I saw part 1 and 2 in the theater, of course, and then I did not see them again until last weekend. Now, what prompted this was, of course, Andrew Garfield spoilers being in No Way Home. Everyone got all pumped up for it, and they're all talking like, oh, we need another Amazing Spider-Man, da-da-da-da. So I thought, why not do a versus and see who comes out on top? We are going to pick a winner here. This might be, the lesser of two evils, but I don't care. We're going to figure it out. In order to do that, I'm going to need some help to help me figure this out. So let's bring in my first guest. Hey, Steve, what's going on?
Hey, J-Man. I know.
Right. Are you ready for Andrew Garfield's epic double bill?
This is a definite departure because up until this point, you've been comparing good movies. This is one where you're comparing to not so great movies. So this will be interesting.
Well, oh boy. Time heals all wounds, perhaps not. We shall see. We shall see if that statement is true or not. Now, Steve has not seen No Way Home, so you don't have the Andrew Garfield hype in you from that movie. Nope. You have only your memories of how underwhelming his films were. But it's not going to just be you and I. We need to break this up because we need to have it be somewhat fair. So let's get our next guest in. Hey, what is going on, Sean? All right, so let's take a look at who we got here. We got Josh, who's already said the Amazing Spider-Man movies are both trash. This was like half an hour. This was half an hour before this went live. Hey, Josh, if you're still here, that's great.
Josh couldn't even hold it in.
He's just like, I can't wait. It's just, I gotta tell you how trash it is right now. We have Skeptic, of course. 2 is miles better. We shall see. This is when they first came up with the concept of science. Little did they know that it would be used to determine which film is better than which other film. That is what we're going to be using today. This is the scientific method. Actually, it's going to be the space method, which, of course, I developed. Trademark, hashtag, copyright. And we're going to go through each segment, each section, which is space is story, pacing, artistry, characters, and then the enjoyment. We're going to see. Now, we're not going to grade it. This is not about grading this movie, and we're not going to review it in that way. We're not going to give a ranking out of 10. We're simply going to say which one has the better story, better pacing, blah, 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 all the way down, and then we're going to pick a winner. Okay, so Truth is here. What's going on, Truth? Thank you for dropping in. #1 is effing awful, but 2 feels like Spider-Man. Yep, okay. Amazing Spider-Man has one of the worst costumes I've ever seen. That is going to definitely come up in the artistry section, especially for part 1. And Andrew, of course, here is our resident Andrew Garfield debate. I'll pass. See ya. Oh, Andrew, are you a Spider-Man fan or what? Like, if you're a Spider-Man fan, then you gotta be in there.
We had to suffer through Brendan Ralph, so you get your ass back here.
Get back. No, he's back. I will say. Make Raimi Spider-Man 4 trending today. Oh, that's nice. Caleb, what is going on? This is going to be tough. We hope to get some help here. Sean looks good today. Okay. All right.
Normally he looks terrible, but today
normally he does look terrible.
Look high, but
could not be reached. What is going on here?
So.
Is really a contest here? There might be a This is not.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Usually I write down my answers, but I don't know.
We know, Andrew. We know. We don't doubt you. We don't doubt you, brother. We know you're a fan. Yeah. Okay. So I mean, like, really, like, how are we even gonna? I don't even know how to like start to unpack this. I guess we'll say. I guess we'll do what we kind of normally do. Is I'm just gonna quickly say my thing. Spider-Man is, if you count Marvel characters only, Spider-Man was my childhood favorite Marvel superhero. He was in my like top 3. It was Superman, Batman, Spider-Man. That was my 3 favorite superheroes. Hulk and Wonder Woman were in there as well because of cartoons and TV shows. I go back and forth every day of my life whether Spider-Man is still my favorite Marvel character. I debate it all the time. That's why I got so many tattoos, so I got everybody covered. I have at least like my top 7 guys tattooed, so I know I'm good. I would go so far to say that Spider-Man is the best, regardless of whether I think he's my favorite. He probably is my favorite if I really dig deep and really kind of just say, like, just say who's your favorite. Like, I like to say Cyclops, and I like Namor and Daredevil, and the guys who are a little bit, who people think, oh, there's a little bit more going on with those characters. But look, Spider-Man is Spider-Man. I think he's the best Marvel character. That's obviously an opinion. Is he my favorite? If not my favorite, he's in my top, 3, 4, 5 maximum, like, favorite characters ever. So any Spider-Man thing is going to be something that I like. I love the old cartoons. I have not really seen any cartoon that I haven't liked, at least in some part of it. I'm going to say this. I like every Spider-Man thing. The character is very special. He's the coolest looking character. I think he is my favorite looking superhero. Batman would probably be up there, and I still think Superman looks good too. But I think Spider-Man's the best looking character. I like all his costumes. I know when we did the ranking, obviously the original proper, what we call proper, or if you want to call it, I don't know, like Ditko or Romita Senior. Like, I don't know who's your guys. You guys can tell us. I don't know, Sean, you guys. Like, Steve's a real expert here. He's been reading now from the beginning, and reading from the beginning, not when he was 10. Like right now, it's different. Me reading Spider-Man from like the late 200s into the 300s when they were coming out doesn't mean anything. I don't remember anything of these comics. Like, I look at the covers, I'm like, oh, I remember that one, But it's different with Steve reading it now in adulthood, so you can have a better perspective. But like, let's say for me, like, let's say the Romita Spider-Man Senior. Like, that is like the real Spider-Man to me. But I like all sorts of the Spider costumes. I like the Ben Reilly thing. I know, forget about Clone Saga or whatever the story. I just like, he looks cool. I think Spider-Man just looks cool. So when the Tobey Maguire trilogy ended, that was sad. I don't mind part 3. I know everyone hates it. I thought it was the weakest. I wasn't very satisfied. My main reason is 2 reasons. Is the Venom storyline should not have been in there. And I don't like Sandman being involved in the death of Uncle Ben. If Venom was removed and the Sandman thing was just changed, not even have it, then if the rest of the movie was exactly the same as what we got, even with Topher Grace or whatever, Eddie Brock, but he just doesn't become Venom, right? Let's say they don't show that, it's later. I would be okay with Spider-Man 3. I like the way the black costume's handled. There's not going to be Secret Wars, I like Sandman. They wrapped up. Hey, Jordan, how's it going, dude? Arkham, what's going on, man? You know what I mean? Like, they could have easily kept the same elements of part 3, and it would have just been fine. Okay, so that said, we saw the 2 Amazing Spider-Man movies. I didn't like either of them. Initially, I really hated part 1. Didn't like the costume. We're going to get into it. And then part 2, I liked the look of Spider-Man the best. And in the tier ranking, we all agreed that Andrew Garfield's costume and look in Amazing Spider-Man 2 was the best looking Spider-Man, perhaps until the end credits of No Way Home, because now we got a whole new contender in No Way Home's end credits. But we're not going to talk about that. So that's my spiel on Spider-Man in general and Amazing Spider-Man in general. Let's go to Sean next, and then we'll end it with Steve so he can give his thoughts. Sean, what are your thoughts on Spider-Man in general and the two movies without kind of spoiling what you're going to judge each one by?
So I grew up on the Spider-Man, like the 60s cartoon, the 280s cartoons, which ran concurrently, and the comics, of course. Like I don't know when I started Spider-Man comics, but yeah, like on through the Venom stuff, like Todd McFarlane and all that stuff. David Michelinie is my Spider-Man writer. I love all the villains. When I was a kid, I didn't know, like Steve brought this to the fore a few days ago. I didn't think of Molten Man and Hydro Man and all those guys as being D-listers, but I guess they are. They were Spider-Man villains to me. All that stuff. I thought that he had one of the best rogues galleries of all time. Great colorful look, and I just thought his stories were always interesting.
Guys, Batman's Rogues Gallery versus Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery. Yeah, that's going to be a versus.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be so good. Okay.
Sorry. One other thing I just want to say, like for Spider-Man, I remember after Amazing Friends, which was like early '80s, there was really nothing in mainstream media for Spider-Man except for comics, and up until like the mid '90s cartoon, right? And when I was in high school, every kid knew Spider-Man stories, and every kid read Spider-Man. Like everyone who's like 13, 14, 15, everyone, all walks of life, jocks, nerds, everybody. You could carry a conversation with people that you'd normally never talk to about like Spider-Man and his Puma debt and all that stuff, right? Or like him fighting like Molten Man in his last issue and stuff. He was mainstream big without the aid of a cartoon. So that to me shows like the strength of that writing back then. Right. So yeah, I love Spider-Man and everything. So wait, you want my thoughts on the movies or no?
Okay, so just give me a second Spider-Man? Here. Pineapple Pizza Fan, are you on my Twitter? I can send you a link if you want to. Right now, we're doing a debate between Amazing Spider-Man 1 versus Amazing Spider-Man 2. So I'm only gonna. I would let you in if you want to debate with us between those two, but you'd have to do it through Twitter. So I'm Spectacular J-Man on Twitter. So you can follow me there if you're not already, and then I can send you a private link if you want to debate the two movies. I'm Boba Fett. What else came out? Like all that stuff. We're going to discuss that on the weekend. Let's say hi to Ron Jim. And how's it going? Pros in these Spider-Man 1, Dennis Leary. Okay, so yeah. Let's I'm going to start marking people's things. So he's saying Dennis Leary. So that's going to be part of the characters. And he's saying heartfelt moments. So that'll be part of the story. Web shooters, that's part of like, I guess what, the artistry or the characters. It scores the artistry. So yeah, if you want to if you guys want to give us things like that, we're ranking the story, the pacing, the artistry, the characters, and then just your enjoyment of it. Even if you don't have a logical reason why you like something better, you can just say you like it better. Okay, yeah. So Sean, what did you quickly when you first saw Amazing Spider-Man, you and me and Thing together, like the three of us together in the theater, we saw both together, right?
Yeah, I feel like our reaction was the same as everyone else's. Like, why not a Spider-Man 4? Right. I feel like this was something that was. I think I got the same cynical impression that everyone else got of the Amazing Spider-Man. Is like they rushed a new movie out to market, just to capitalize on more fame. Like it was just a cynical cash grab, and it seemed very throwback 90s extreme, like there's like stuff blowing up for no reason. They went back to like a storyline that even the comics abandoned because it was dull. And it just seemed like they're reaching too much to make more money off this concept after they torpedoed their relationship with Sam Raimi. So
right. Okay, so let's take a look here. Ron, negatives, minus on the actions. Yep. Andrew, yes. Yes. Oh, buddy, you're right on the money here with me. That's you've hit upon a lot of great points right there. So you don't have the thing is I don't want to post it in the chat, because if I post a link in the chat, then everyone's gonna want to come in, and then I'm gonna have to boot everybody, because I want to keep this tight, right? I don't want, this is my chill stuff will be on the weekend, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so let's Steve, let's do your quick Spider-Man thing, and then we'll get right into the talk.
Well, I was a fan since I was a kid. I remember getting the comics. I caught parts of the 60s cartoon, which is something for me because I didn't watch a lot of television growing up as a kid. I was mostly a video gamer. But I was a fan of his, and then reconnected around when I met J-Man. And got back into the lore and everything. And now, as J-Man's mentioned, I've read every Amazing Spider-Man since Amazing Fantasy 15 all the way to Kraven's Last Hunt. So I've read everything in there. Spider-Man has probably, I agree with Could Not Be Reached for Further Comment. He's probably got the second best rogues gallery, but it's something we could definitely look at. But it's just, he's got such his likability about him. The friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He's very relatable. He's just a kid who grew up like he was bullied, and then he got these powers, and then he did them for good, which showed he was always good. And then it just went from there. He cracks a lot of jokes. I mean, they're just corny jokes, but he's kind of the fun character. If you look at Marvel's other characters, they're all very serious. Like the X-Men are serious. Hulk is his tortured, damaged soul. Well, Grey Hulk is hilarious. Stuff like that. But Spider-Man's the friendly guy. So that's me as Spider-Man. Seeing these movies in the theater, I don't have many memories of watching part 2 in the theater, but part 1 has a great memory for me. More so what happened after the film. You guys don't get this opportunity because you don't see movies with us, but and this was in the summer. J-Man, Sean, and I went out to the parking lot, and J-Man and Sean proceeded to dismantle this film in half an hour. It was a literal butt kicking. And it was absolutely hilarious hanging out by, in the parking lot by these cars, and J-Man and Sean were just rat-a-tat-tat, just destroying that film. And it was just so funny to watch. If Marc Webb had been sitting there after this conversation, he would have quit filmmaking. So.
All right, let me address Caleb real quick. You know what I'm going to do? Here's what we're going to do. Pineapple addressed me. He wanted to come in, so I'm going to let him come in. We're going to go through the plot points real quick. Once we decide, then I'll throw a link in chat and let's see what everyone thinks, because there's a lot of people who want to voice their opinions, and I want them to be heard. So I think here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through the normal episode how we always do, going through the 5 categories. We're going to pick a winner amongst us, and then I'll invite people to come in to pick their favorites and explain why. How's that sound? You guys cool with that? You
Sure.
think that'll be good? Okay, because there's so many people that want to voice their. I didn't think this was going to be that this was going to be that popular. I thought it'd be So okay, but yeah. So I'm going to do that. I like to have the community feel like everyone's participating. So we in order to keep this, because we need to keep this within the 2-hour mark. We are going to go through this with just us, just to sort of pick our points, so we have our say, and then I'll open it up and we'll let people come in, because Ron Jammin's got some great points. Skeptic says he's got some points. Andrew may want to have something to say about this as well. So why don't we go for about an hour and a bit or so, just to kind of get through everything, and then in the last half an hour we can sort of get everyone else's thoughts on this one too. I'm glad that you guys are all pumped for this, because I was thinking, man, no one's gonna care about this at all. So that's great. Yes, Anthony. Yeah, I'm trying to bring balance to the force here. Okay. So Steve, so Steve's read so many of the books now from scratch. I've read almost everything for the brand new Amazing Spider-Man comic book series. Number 80 just came out, or 84 just came out today. So I just have to read that one. And I'm thinking, Steve and I'd love to do a Craven look because you just got to Last Hunt, which I think is a very important story, and I just happen to like it. And Craven is a character that I got into later in life, not in the beginning. I thought he was a whatever character. It's literally, and this is as generic as it gets, but I read Last Hunt and then I got all excited for the character. And I think a lot of people have that story. And then Steve also got me into the Jackal, who you put in your top 10 Spider-Man foes. I thought, are you drunk? Like, who cares about the Jackal?
Oh yeah, no.
But then I started to read the Jackal storylines. I just skipped ahead. I'm like, because I own all the Amazing Spider-Mans digitally, so I was like, well, let me just skip to the Jackal stuff. It's like, whoa, this guy's great. So long story short, I'm ordering a statue of the Jackal. Okay. Awesome. So enough about that. Let's get into the storyline of Amazing Spider-Man 1 versus Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'm going to start with Sean on this one. Sean, which one do you think has the better story and why?
Oh God. Well, I think one is the more like coherent one, and two is like it's incoherent, but for whatever reason it's entertaining.
We're gonna get to that.
Yeah,
it's just story. Don't get ahead of the game.
I know. I would say my problem with the I'm probably going to give it a 1, but my problem with the story for 1 is it's too basic. It's like it's too linear. It's too not a lot's going on there. Whereas with part 2, there's a lot going on, but like it's not very well developed. Like the villains or whatever. Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm. We can hear you.
Yeah. I'm going back and forth here. I'm just gonna pick one. I'm gonna pick part 1, just as a linear story with his origin. He gets told off by Dennis Leary. I like his relationship with Gwen Stacy. It's not the Gwen Stacy of the comics, of course, but
right.
I feel like she's more of a sort of like she can meet him on certain levels.
Yeah.
They seem more like a relationship. And then of course the death of Captain Stacy at the end. It's fairly straightforward. I can follow it. It's not very inspirational. But I think 1 for me, I guess, narrowly defeats 2.
Yeah, I'll go next. I'll go. Steve can go in the end. I'll say that after No Way Home, I did feel a little bit of the Andrew sparkle, and I was like, oh, I gotta watch the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. So I'm a lot less like upset over these movies now. It's the whole thing where the next movie makes the last one a little bit better because now that's not the last movie.
It's the Schumacher syndrome.
It's the Schumacher syndrome.
Yeah.
When Batman and Robin was the last Batman movie and that was the only one we had for a while, I thought this is trash. This is the worst way to end this. Batman Begins comes out and now you're like, it's just a fun, it's just a fun movie, right? Hey, Pineapple. Oh, dude, you got the Exterminator as your freaking icon, buddy? That's what I'm freaking talking about. Can you hear me? Can you hear us? You're on mute.
You're on mute.
You're on mute, Pineapple. Okay, well, I'm gonna remove you and bring you back. Did that work? All right, try. I'll come out and come back in, dude. I can't, man. He's got the Exterminator as his icon, man. I can't kick that guy out of the chat. That's brutal. I got the Exterminator poster just right there. You can't see it on this angle. Oh, let's try again. He came back. Hey, Pineapple, can you hear us? No, we can't hear you. All right, we'll try again. Okay. So yeah, story-wise, I think Oh, he's fixing his mic and coming back. I think story wise, yeah, number 1 is better because number 2 is a disaster. It's a disastrous mess. There's so many villains going. Halfway through, Goblin comes in. I'm like, what is happening in this movie right now? Why is this guy here? Norman dies. And now Harry is there. You're like, what is happening? Why is this happening? And then he's got a disease which makes him into a goblin. I was just like, no. And then because he's there, Gwen's got to die. Spoilers. And I'm like, really? I'm like, that came out of nowhere now. It's just the Electro story is very weak. And you know what? I rewatched it again. Spider-Man does remember him. I remembered that entire scene incorrectly. It was like the reverse Mandela effect or whatever. It was the Mandela effect. I thought Spider-Man didn't
remembers him.
Yeah, he remembers him.
He's not gonna remember his name, but yeah. And you know, it's played weird because Max says Max before he says Max, and you're left wondering if he actually did remember and then just said it later.
Right. And I know that was very poorly done. And I'm like, okay, so but he does remember you. Why are you being so weird? Oh man.
That character in that movie.
Yeah, no, this is
in No Way Home anyway.
Yeah, this is like not good. Amazing Spider-Man 2 has a bad story, not just in comparison with Amazing Spider-Man 1, but just bad anyways. Amazing Spider-Man 1, there's some wonky shit, and Ron pointed out a couple of things. The parent storyline, I don't care. I don't think I ever and I'm going to ask you guys.
Well,
I never questioned it. Yeah, did you ever question it in the comic books? Like, I didn't read Amazing Spider-Man 1 to 300. I started at I don't remember. It's like
Steve will tell you, it's like annual 5 or something that they do it. And then they forget about it for years and years. And I think in the 90s they brought it back. Yeah. And even as a kid, I was like, oh yeah, I guess he had parents. Like, I didn't even think about it. I didn't care, right?
I don't know.
The pooch there. Yeah. And then he has a long lost sister, and it's like, was it Teresa Parker or something? Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Hey, Pineapple, can you hear us?
Pineapple? You still have mic problems, I guess.
No, we can't hear you, dude. Robert Ginty, I'm sorry, I gotta remove Ginty from the chat from this. Oh, I heard you. Hello?
There's feedback.
Try now. Talk to us. No? No, we're not getting it. All right, sorry, dude. Okay. Yeah, the story for part 1 has a lot of weirdness to it. The parent stuff I don't care about. But I do like the relationship with him and Gwen. So that is something. Hey, Marcus, how's it going? The stuff with Kirk Connors was much better the second time I watched it. I don't know why. I just the first time I was just like, I don't like the costume. I don't like what's going on in here. I'm just kind of like on this whole thing. Lizard he's not green enough. He doesn't have the snout. He doesn't. At one point, he does have the lab coat, but it just gets torn off. It gets destroyed. I'm like, I need the lab coat. Hey, Zach,
he has it twice. I counted.
Yeah. So, you're like, okay, I don't know. But this time around, I was a lot more open to liking the Kirk Connors character and how that kind of developed. And the mystery at the end with it's like, does he know about his parents or whatever? I'm like, like that I could get, that can go. But as Sean said, look, I understand what's happening in this movie. There's never a point where I'm confused. I might not think the story is so great, but I'm not confused and not thinking how bad it is. Whereas in Amazing Spider-Man 2, a lot of points, I'm like, I don't know. So I think part 1 definitely, I think it's a no-brainer part for me. Part 1's got the better story. Steve, final word on story for part 1 or part 1 versus 2?
Part 2.
You like the story of part 2 better? Oh, wow.
Yeah. Both stories are completely incoherent. I have no idea what's going on in either one film. I'm not going to give the reason I'm giving it to 2 is because at least 1 didn't retread former territory and give me the origin story again and give me the Uncle Ben saga again. That's literally the only reason I'll give it the 2. Not because 2 is great, but because I find 1 so deficient. Both storylines, I have no idea why Captain Stacy's like pissed off at Peter Parker. I'm guessing it's because it's Dennis Leary, and Dennis Leary by default has to be pissed off at everyone.
Yeah.
He's great though.
He looks bored in that movie.
He just does look bored.
Yeah.
He looks like someone has shoved a knife up his ass and left it in there, and he's constantly just chafing on it. I have no idea what the hell Lizard's plot is other than make little lizards, which I'm like, all right, I know that's from the comics, but it's not particularly well done. The second one is a horrid mess. I have no idea what the hell is going on.
Send me a link on Twitter, Ron. Are you following me? I'm Spectacular J-Man.
I have no idea.
One more time. Pineapple.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
All right, no worries. Is that so? You got the Exterminator as your icon, right?
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna talk.
You're the only one that picked that up, by the way.
No. Sean and Steve know that that's the Exterminator as well. I've got the Exterminator 2 official movie poster, like on this wall here. I can't. My camera's mounted to my wall over there, so I can't. But it's over there. Okay, so Steve, continue on.
Yeah, like they're both terrible, like horrible. But I don't give any extra points to one for being maybe slightly more coherent, because it's to me it's still very incoherent. 2 is very incoherent, but 2 at least went off in a different direction. 1 did retread the same steps and then gave me an incoherent storyline to boot.
Right.
Yeah,
so it's
which
do I prefer? Wait. Which do I prefer more? A kick in the nuts, or a kick in the nuts and then a shit pie to the face? Well, I'll take the one that just gives me a kick in the nuts.
Okay.
I appreciate the inclusion of Ben, though. I know back then it was like, oh, another Uncle Ben. People complained so bitterly that Marvel just erased Ben from freaking Spider-Man. It's like in the MCU movies, he's not even there. No, it's like bullshit. Anyway.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna go through the 4 of us, because I want just the 4 of us to go through, and then I'm gonna do the link, and then everyone can come in after that. So we've got the 4 guys. I think that's good for just right now. And then I'm gonna send you guys. I'm gonna put the link in the chat, so you don't have to worry about it. I'll put it in the chat. You guys can come through. Okay, so Pineapple Pizza Fan, which story do you think is better, Spider-Man Part 1 or Part 2? Amazing Spider-Man.
Well, I mean, both of them are pretty bad, but if I had to pick one, it would be probably the first one.
Okay, so you're gonna give it. So basically, we got 3 to 1. Steve, we're gonna have to bend to the majority on this one and give it to Part 1. I definitely hear what you're saying, though. In terms of like your points and stuff, it's like, yeah, it's kind of rehashed, but I mean, sometimes I like to think of these movies, even though they're not the same actors, sometimes I like to think that they almost continue from each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though they don't necessarily, it's like you feel like Batman Begins could take place before Batman 89.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I play these kind of games in my mind, like, it's Batman Begins, and then it's Batman 89. And then it's Batman Returns, and then that's the end of Batman. And then we haven't seen him again since then. But what are you going to do? Okay. So for the pacing, I'm going to start. The pacing, both movies are around the same length. Amazing Spider-Man 2 is longer, but it's longer by 15 minutes, but it feels a hell of a lot longer to me. I don't know. I felt like there's a lot of stuff that needs to go, and that goes part of the story as well, where it's a lot of stuff. Like, both movies need to be edited, but Amazing Spider-Man 2 really needs heavy editing. There's a lot of stuff that just needs to go. It's like scenes that have no purpose. They're just talking. And it's like, what do I care about what's happening here? And just weird wackiness. He's running around after Gwen. And it's like this weird, I know they're in high school, but it's like this, it's very bad high school melodrama. Like, oh, I'm getting a job. I'm leaving. I don't like you. It's like, ugh. I didn't feel that way with the Mary Jane plots in the Tobey Maguire movie. Like, I liked I like the way they handled their relationship. I know people don't like MJ in those movies, and I didn't like her either. But when I've watched it more recently with a different attitude, I don't mind her. So I think the pacing for part 1 is better, as even though there were some boring parts of part 1, but there's a lot of nothingness in part 2. Pineapple Pizza Fan, what do you think is a better paced movie, part 1 or part 2? Oh, we lost you again, dude. I think we lost you again. Sorry, dude. All right, dude. Sorry, man. I gotta remove you. All right, Steve. What do you think's better paced, 1 or 2?
2. One was so hard to watch in the theater. It was like watching a badly written daytime drama melodrama. The so-called romance between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone just went off. Like, it was excruciating watching them try and make those scenes work. In the second one, it felt a little bit more like they were more in sync than the first one. The first one, it looked like they were like long lost cousins who barely knew each other and were trying to make a romance work. I found it just excruciating. The second one has some definite draggy parts, right? Like that whole thing with Harry Osborn, who gives a shit. And she's leaving and like, I'm leaving. I'm going to England. Well, go. Please, God, go. But like, I found the first one just so hard to watch in the theater. Like, my memories are literally of like, as J-Man once said about someone unrelated, my eyes didn't just roll, my body rolled. It was just horrible to watch. So again, completely understand what you're saying about 2. It's by no means lovely, but 1 was just excruciating for me to watch. So
okay, so you're going for part 2. Sean?
They're both poorly paced, but I guess we can't do like both or whatever. I'd say I'd say part 2. I'm with Steve. I found part 2 more enjoyable to watch. Part 1 is very draggy. I'll get to why actually with art, because I think it looks like it's lit by a drunk. But but part 2. Part 2. The thing is, there's a lot going on and stuff, but at least it keeps you entertained. I didn't really feel the time with 2 as I did with 1, and 1 is shorter. So, so yeah. I mean, listen, all the stuff. I feel like that script was written with sticky notes from the studio. It's like it's like they wanted Electro as the main villain, but then halfway through they're like, oh my god, why don't we bring back the dynamic we had in the Tobey Maguire movies? So they brought in more Norman Osborn, and it's just, and it's like, why don't we have what's her face die at the end? And it's like, there'll be no emotional reaction in the audience, but I feel there's a lot going on. It's very draggy, but there's a lot more entertaining going on for me, and I didn't feel the time as much as part 1. Part 1 is like, ooh, when can I go shovel the driveway? Like,
wow. Okay. Well, I'm surprised. Okay, so Amazing Spider-Man 2 has got 2 votes for pacing. Jesus Christ, that movie is long can be. You'll never catch me. Like, it's like I watched half of it.
It's not as excruciating.
It's not like 1 is excruciating. It's like literally nails on a chalkboard to me. I wanted to bolt the theater. I think I needed you to give me a ride, or I conceivably might have.
Wow. Okay. I mean, look, they're both poorly paced, so I can very easily be swayed to one side. Pineapple, do we have you?
We do not.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, we do.
All right. So who are you going with? Do you think part 1 or part 2 is better paced? So pacing doesn't mean long or slow in the way we do it. You keep cutting out on us.
Yeah, I was just waiting for everyone.
Okay. So yeah, what do you think? 1 or 2?
I seem to remember so I haven't seen these, and haven't seen these since they came out, but I seem to remember like the opening of 2 where he was fighting Rhino, and then it like stopped, and then if I remember correctly, then he was fighting. It was slow until he was fighting Electro,
Right.
and then I think it stopped, and then he was fighting.
Sorry, you're cutting out on us, dude.
But I I don't seem to remember like the first one stopping that much. Maybe I'm
Right.
wrong, but
So
like
you're thinking
like
part
I
one is
said, I
better
haven't
paced?
seen these. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I haven't seen these since they like came out.
Right.
I really don't want to see them again. In all honesty, but like I'm going for part 1. So
All right. Okay. Ron, yeah, so you are cutting out a little bit. We'll try one more time. If you can, if you're on, then cool. We'll go for another round. Okay, so we got 2 and 2. So chat, what do you guys think? What is a better paced movie? Amazing Spider-Man 1 or Amazing Spider-Man 2? And we'll come back. Just put a 1 or a 2 in the comments. Don't write a whole thing out because I have to visually see 1 or 2. That's it. Just do 1 or 2. I will come back to pacing. Okay, Artistry. I'm going to start off. I'm going to say part 2. Remember, the artistry is a lot of things. It's like the look of the thing, the music, the design of the costumes, the design of the characters, all that stuff. Everyone is saying 2 is better paced. So we got 2 for 2. So that's 1. So now we got 4 people. Jordan's giving a 1. I'll keep marking these down as they come. All right. Pineapple, we lost you again. Sorry, dude. We're just gonna. I'll just put a link afterwards. We'll go back from there. Okay. So for the artistry, for me, it's like I know Electro doesn't look like the proper Electro, and I hate the costume. Truth is giving a 1. But I mean, I don't know. I think it just looks better. The Spider-Man Andrew Garfield costume in Amazing Spider-Man 2 is awesome. I love that costume. I love all of the Spider-Man fighting parts. Anytime Spider-Man is swinging around, doing stuff, fighting, even the garbage rhino, it's the garbage rhino. Like the rhino thing, it's like it looks bad, but I mean, Lizard only has Lizard and he doesn't look like Lizard. Like Lizard looks bad to me anyway. And yes, Green Goblin doesn't look good. And yes, Rhino doesn't look good. And yes, Electro doesn't look good either. So none of them look good. So my fallback now is just the visual look of the movie. Part 2's way better. I think the music was better in part 2, and Spider-Man's costume is better. The action is shot better. When he's fighting Electro in both times, it's awesome. Like Electro, if Electro just looked better, I would just watch the action parts over and over again. The entire last battle of Amazing Spider-Man 2 is effing bonkers. I didn't remember how bonkers that was, guys. Like I was like, freaking yeah, man. Like, god damn, this is awesome. Like I was like all over. I don't know. I thought it was like really killer. So I'm giving the artistry full, like Spider-Man costume, action scenes, just like cinematography, like music. Like I'm giving all of it. I think it's a runaway hit for Amazing Spider-Man 2. Steve, what do you think?
Well, it's 2 by a landslide. 1 has that terrible scene where they're fighting in the school and it's like dark and it's like in the background and stuff, and it seemed almost like an afterthought. I know Sean's going to talk about the lighting more, but he's completely right. It looks like it was written by a drunk. Like the second one, I don't like. Electro looks like a member of the Blue Man Group. To me. Green Goblin looks like he's just got a skin disease. Like it's not good. Rhino's Paul Giamatti in a suit. Like a
mech.
It's a mech, yeah.
It's just not. It's not good. But like the Spider-Man costume is miles better in the second one. The theme is probably one of my favorite themes for a superhero. Like the Spider-Man theme is great. The action scenes are terrific. I can actually follow them and see them. They're not an afterthought in a school. It's really like technically, other than the villain's costumes, it's terrific. So for me, it's 2 by a landslide. And Lizard looks like ass.
I don't like him at all. Yeah,
he literally looks like he walked into a door. I don't know.
He looks like the Goombas from Mario Brothers.
Yeah, the Goombas from Super Mario Brothers, man.
I just want to also remind everybody to remember, this is breaking it down in the way that I review movies on my channel, right? That we're, again, even though I might critically be against a certain film, we're not trying to do it that way. Like I'm like, or if like, look, I don't like these movies, they suck. I'm not, we're not doing it that way. We're trying to be objective and be like, okay, look, this just looks better. Like, that doesn't mean you have to like it more or whatever. We're not getting into that sort of debate, really. It's like, you can have your opinion. That's why all of my reviews have a category for enjoyment value, which is to say that, look, you can say this movie's story wasn't as good or pacing wasn't as good, the characters weren't cool, but I still love it because it's just a fun movie and it's awesome. So you give that high marks, right? But we're not doing it that. We're comparing the two. Did you enjoy? And a lot of people enjoyed part 1 more than they enjoyed part 2. And that you're going to get a say. You're going to get a say on that. You can say, look, I know what you're saying. You know, hey guys, I know that you know, the Phantom Zone, we're the Phantom Zone criminals. You know, you Phantom Zone guys, you know, you're saying, oh, part 2 looks better, but I don't care. I like part 1 better. That's fine, right? We're not here to say what you think is better. We're just trying to go through my method and try to come up with some sort of a fair way to judge these movies. Because if you can't do it fairly, then what's the point, right? Like, you know, obviously we're going to say we like one more than the other, and that's going to come to the enjoyment factor of it. Okay. So far it looks like the pacing is going to go to part 2, I think, because I've got 4 and 4 votes. Are you guys for real? The pacing, I've got both sides. So I can do a tie if you guys want. I'll say wait till the end and see if any more 1s or 2s. Remember, pacing 1 or 2. Let me know which one you think is better. Right now they're tied. Okay. So Sean, we're on the Artistry. I think like both Steve and I are saying part 2 all the way. I know you're going to say part 2 because you already trashed part 1 before we even got.
It's part 2, man.
Yeah.
Like, when I think back to part 1, all I think is night scenes, and like really dimly lit night scenes as well. And it's like, it's a Spider-Man movie, right? What's his name? Lizard looks terrible. I don't know why it's sort of like the Doomsday thing. It's like, why was that your final draft? It's like, this is terrible. Spider-Man's costume is piss. I remember years before the Tobey Maguire movie, like the first movie, Wizard did a whole thing where they got Alex Ross to design movie looks for characters if they were to ever be in movies. And his version of Spider-Man had the black eyes. And he was like, well, you know, this is realistic. Like, realistically, you can't see past the black shades of, you know, like sunshades, right? And so he showed that. And I thought it was horrible. I thought it was the worst thing I've ever. I was like, I hope to Christ they never do this in a movie. And they didn't with the Tobey Maguire movies. And then we got this film, and his eyes are black, and it looks terrible.
Sean, are you talking about those ones where it was like the V-shaped? That you're talking about those I remember this. My God, where
there's a Wizard magazine.
Yeah,
thing.
and it was the V shape here, right?
Yeah, something like, I just remember the mask was awful.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yes, I might have that issue.
I probably have it somewhere too. I was so disappointed, and I love Alex Ross, but I was like, why wouldn't he just have the white eyes? What's the problem with that?
Dude, I know exactly where that is.
I remember exactly it was a right-hand page, and it is on the top of the page.
I'm gonna next time I go to my storage, I've got I know exactly what box it's in. I'm gonna friggin' find that to show everybody what we're talking about.
I was so mad.
I'm positive I have it.
But that is this movie, you know.
Yeah, right.
So part 2, I think of daytime fights. I think of a lot of light and stuff like that. It looks awesome. Spider-Man himself looks great. Uh, you know, uh, um, yeah, it just seems lighter and better. All of the action scenes and stuff. There's more imagination. Even the end where Spider-Man has the manhole cover and he's using it like he's whipping it around with his webs. That's more imagination right there in 2 seconds than the entire first movie.
Right.
I think the artistry in part 2 is way, way, way better in part 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to say there was a cool. I like where that kid steps up to fight Rhino.
Yeah, I was going to talk about
Yeah.
that with character, but yeah.
Okay, so let's get to character on that then. We're on character right now.
Yeah.
So let's continue that thought. Yeah. I love when that kid goes up and he's like, "I'll fight Rhino," and then Spider-Man's like, "Oh, you know what, dude? Thanks for."
And he doesn't say like, "Kid, what are you doing?" He's like, he's
Right.
talking to him,
He's talking
and
to
then
him.
he
Oh
fist
man, I
bumps him,
love that.
and when it claps, that's great.
That's great. I love that. I love when in part 2 where he's talking, even when he first saves, Max or whatever, and it's like he's like, "Yeah, you're great. You're a great guy, and we need guys like you out there." And people are with him. I love all of that. All of the Spider-Man stuff in Amazing Spider-Man 2 is awesome. It's better than any of the other Spider-Man movies.
I think arguably he's the best Spider-Man. Like, you can say what you want about the movies,
right?
But like, arguably it's the best depiction of Spider-Man as you know him from the comics.
Yeah,
like a guy who inspires people. He's kind of like the Flash, in this movie. But yeah.
No. The rest of I actually like Gwen Stacy, and I think this is the old superhero reasoning for me, which is that I usually like the person that likes the regular guy first. So it's like she likes Peter Parker. She doesn't love Spider-Man. She loves Peter, right? Like him being Spider-Man doesn't affect her love for him. She's like, "Oh, great, you're Spider-Man," But it wasn't like, "Oh, wow." It's like when Lois loves Superman and doesn't give a crap about Clark.
Yeah.
Right? And you're just like, whereas Lana Lang always liked Clark or whatever, like that seemed better to me because she liked who he kind of really was or whatever. You can get into that debate, who's Superman, but we should do Clark Kent versus Superman. But that'd be interesting. But yeah, so I like Gwen a lot in both movies, and I do like Andrew Garfield in both movies, but his costume is not good in part 1. And I felt that part 2, Andrew really found his footing or his niche or whatever. Like he was Spider-Man in my eyes. Even rewatching it, I was like, this is great. When Gwen dies, I felt bad that Gwen died, man. I think that was done really nicely because he just webbed her. And she kind of just like went like knocked back. I was like, oh, it was awesome. That part was awesome. I don't know. I thought it was cool in the theater. You don't think it was awesome?
No, I felt nothing. I felt like it was another
it.
studio note. Like she has to die here, and then she dies, and I felt no emotion. You know what? I teared up when the kid got in front of Rhino, and Spider-Man came. Because he's returning, and that thing is set up in like 2 minutes before that. It's like he hasn't done anything for 5 months.
Yeah.
And he comes back, and everyone's like, "Oh!" And then he talks to the kid. And he's like, "I got this one," and he fist bumps him, and the crowd cheers. I was more emotionally moved by that than Gwen Stacy dying, and that's a problem for me.
Well, I wasn't emotionally moved by anything in any of these movies. The last time I was emotionally moved in Spider-Man was Aunt May in part 2, where she goes, "Everyone needs a hero." That's the last
the hero speech.
The hero speech by Aunt May. That was the only time in any Spider-Man movie that I was emotional at all. So sure, I'll give you that one, Sean. Sean hates romance. That is the hashtag.
F romance.
Hashtag Sean hates romance. Yes, I know. Like, dude, no. I'm saying it was done. Like, I don't care about like leading up to it or it was. I'm saying that scene on its own in a box, like her falling, the way she falls. He kind of saves her a bit. He almost gets her, falls a bit more. Like they were playing with the audience because as an audience member, she dies, and then you're thinking, oh, are they going to kill her? It's like, oh, will he save her? He kind of is, but he's not. I don't know. I liked that. I don't care emotional or not. It doesn't matter because I don't get emotional either. And I do hate romance. Hashtag J-Man hates romance. Unless it's in a Bollywood movie. They always seem to do romance good in a Bollywood movie. I don't know why. But yeah. So for me, the characters, it's whether you like that or not emotional, the kid was still a character, so he was great. There you go. I like the characters in part 2 more for sure for me. Spider-Man has a lot to do with it. Gwen is good in both. I like her in both. The villains are trash in both, although I do like Kurt Connors better than the other 3 as a character, but his look is garbage, so there's that. I don't know. I think for me the characters in part 2 win. So Sean, sorry, what were you? I didn't even know. Did you even get a turn, or did you say part 2, or what? Are you saying part 2 is better characters or part 1?
For characters, I didn't get a turn. You're the first.
So go ahead, Sean.
I like characters. To me is just Spider-Man. So to me, 2 edges out 1. I don't like anyone. I don't even understand. I don't understand Caleb. I don't understand Flash in part 1. Because I don't get why he's bullying Peter Parker, and at the end I don't know why he's all like, yeah man, yeah. It's like it's sure, I guess.
That was awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Flash Thompson is beating the hell out of Peter Parker, and then it's like, oh, I'm sorry your uncle died. What? That person does not. Flash before was kind of a goof.
Yeah.
He's just a dick. That was his thing, right? Yeah. In the movies, he's like a dick or whatever. But beating the hell out of him and then being, oh, I'm sorry about your uncle? Really?
Like, I'll just say this. There's a what if where it's like, what if Aunt May died instead of Uncle Ben? And Liz Allen organizes all the kids. Did you read this, Steve? Or Liz
Allen? I just read the one where what if Uncle Ben hadn't died?
Yeah. It's Aunt May. And yeah, so this is another one, I guess. And Liz Allen organizes the kids to go to Peter Parker's house and pay their respects. And Parker isn't there, but Uncle Ben is there. And Flash is like unreasonably rude. He's like carrying on about like Peter Parker and all that stuff. And then Uncle Ben just loses it. And he goes like, you're the worst person. And like and then so Liz gets mad at Flash and goes like, what were you raised by wolves? What the hell is this? And I was like, after that, I was like, yeah, Flash is a piece of crap. It's like he just is. I know he gets better with age. Like, right. When he's older, he talks to kids about bullying and stuff like that, right? Because he becomes a man. But that was awful. Spider-Man himself is great in this movie. We talked about all that. Every time he's on screen and he does all his Spider-Man stuff, I don't know what happened. I don't know if like the writer was like, I'm going to do a real Spider-Man, F this. Mm-hmm. And just like, because he's not like that in part 1. Part 1, he's okay. But part 2, he's just like full on Spider-Man. And they never really did that again, which is a shame because this movie was a failure. But I'd say part 2 for character.
Steve?
Yeah, part 2. I mean, I agree with Ron Jam in that, like, part 1, he's too cool for school. Like, the whole thing with Peter Parker was he was an outsider initially just because he was a nerd, and then he was an outsider because he was constantly distracted by his Spider-Man duties. So, like, people probably don't know this, but Gwen Stacy hated Peter Parker for a while in the comics because she thought he was stuck up because he would ignore her, he wasn't paying attention, and then he would just disappear. And she's like, guy's a jerk.
Yeah.
So that the whole thing is that Peter Parker's always been an outsider, and like him standing there, with the skateboard and that, I'm like, this is wrong. Like, just instinctively I knew that was wrong.
Right.
This Spider-Man is a Spider-Man you can get behind in part 2. I'm not particularly crazy about Gwen Stacy in either one, so that's a wash. And the villains are garbage in both. So I have to give it just because of Spider-Man. I'm not a fan of Captain Stacy. Dennis Leary just being mad at Peter Parker for no reason. I'm not a fan of that. So.
Listen, look, Peter, you don't walk into someone's house and then you start jibber jabbing about whatever crap you're talking. It's like this is my table. It's like, listen, you don't sit next to a police officer and start talking about how vigilantes are great. It's like that was a fail on Peter's. Everybody knows that. Peter should have just been like, "Oh, okay, thank you so much for having me, Mr. Stacy or Captain Stacy." Like, I would have just agreed immediately with everything. Peter was very awkward in that scene, I guess.
He was awkward in that scene, but I felt like the response was a little bit overblown.
Yeah, but it's Captain Stacy. He's like, "F this. I'm not taking any shit from this guy." Okay, so characters wins on this too. So right now. I put up. This is a link to Ron Jamin's channel as well, which I've just subscribed to. So give him a sub. He's got a lot of great points to make today. So let's see how it goes. So what's this? Sean? Oh, Alex Ross Superman. Oh, the Alex Ross Spider-Man. You found it? Yes. Let's take a look at it. Yeah, that's it, Sean. I've got this issue, boy.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna show everybody that I've got that for sure. Now, you know what I just realized? I don't think I have it from Wizard. What I do have is there was an Alex Ross Wizard special where they collected
the Poster Mania.
Yeah.
Yes, I have that still in the bag.
Okay, so I believe it was in that.
That was the cover of that.
I don't remember.
There's one with that Spider-Man.
I think Kingdom Come was the cover for the one I got.
Okay.
Mm. But anyways, it has that article in. It's all the Alex Ross stuff in one thing. But I remember those pictures. That's it. The V. So they used that for.
Why change it? He's like, I want to make it more realistic. It's like, no.
It's over there. That costume was used by Superior Spider-Man when Doc Ock was. Yeah, that's the costume they used. So they went back to that. Okay. For overall enjoyment, oh boy, here we go. We're gonna finish this off, and then I'm gonna let people come in, and they're gonna be wanting to fight. I can tell you that right now. But I'm gonna friggin' tell you, man. I think Amazing Spider-Man 2, I enjoyed it more. And the reasons are, look, the villains to me are bad. They're all bad. If I have to pick, I would say Kurt Connor's Lizard is better than the other three. Because he's still, I can look at him and be like, okay, that's the Lizard. Maybe not the exact design I wanted. And I wasn't crazy about him saying, I want to turn everyone into a lizard, but that is a lizard plot. Yep. That is something that Kurt Connors did in the comics.
Yeah.
Even if it happened in the comics, it doesn't mean I like it, right? But it's from the comics, so it's a legit plot. Sean, you're frozen.
Oh, I am?
Oh no, you're good now. You're good now.
You were frozen in a smile.
You were frozen
sure
in a smile.
Everyone was doing
like, what is happening?
Yeah, like people are like, Sean's smiling? What the hell?
So, yeah, the Lizard is better. He does have the lab coat a couple times, So Kurt Connors is a better developed villain than the other ones were. Harry is garbage. Rhino is not even worth mentioning. And Electro was so poorly written, conceived, whatever. Yeah. It was Lizard was much better. His only issue is that he didn't look exactly like kind of what I wanted. Whatever. But the Spider-Man parts are the best. Every time Spider-Man does something in the costume, it's awesome. He keeps the mask on a lot. The mask doesn't come off a lot. He's true to Spider-Man. He is the best live action, just Spider-Man, just the person that we've gotten, I think, still, in my opinion. Tobey Maguire's films are way better, but Spider-Man 2 is one of the best superhero movies of all time. Not just one of the best Spider-Man movies, it's one of the best superhero movies of all time. Sam Raimi is one of my top 10 favorite filmmakers. I have watched everything since from Within the Woods, which got remade into Evil Dead. From that to, I may have missed a couple here and there if they were weird and they weren't something
For the love of the game.
I did not see For the Love of the Game, though. I don't own. Well, I have it digitally. Let's say. I did not see For the Love of the Game, but the Oldsmobile is in it though.
It is.
So I love Sam Raimi, but yeah. So those movies are much better, but just for the enjoyment of what we have here, and there is very little to enjoy, but the Spider-Man parts are amazing. So I'm just giving it to Amazing Spider-Man 2 just based on that. And the visuals are better and the fighting's better. So there's a lot more better things going on in part 2, than part 1. But Steve, what do you think?
Part 2.
Yes, you said everything was part 2.
Everything, yeah. It just felt more like it wasn't trying to be something it wasn't. Spider-Man, the Spider-Man parts in part 2 are the best thing in either movie. Everything else you can throw out the window, and I personally wouldn't care. But the Spider-Man parts in part 2 are the best parts in any movie. Garfield seemed to really understand at that point the character. He got into the flow of things, and he felt like a hero. He didn't feel like that in part 1. Right. Felt like that in part 2. I know that the villains are garbage and blah, 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 and yada, 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 and blah, blah, blah. But I'm watching the Amazing Spider-Man, not the Amazing Spider-Man villains.
Right.
So
and
I have to go with...
There's a lot in part 2.
Yeah.
There's a lot in part 2.
Yeah. So that's the reason. Like, I have to go with the hero of the story, and he's the best part of anything in part 2.
All right, Sean, what do you think, buddy? Part 2?
Enjoyment?
Yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man 2. Yeah. Like, for F's sakes, it's like a lot. Like, first of all, it's not all in nighttime and stuff, and second of all, it's a lot more fun. And Spider-Man himself doesn't take himself too seriously. I love when he's got the fire hose and he's got the fire helmet on, and then he holsters it. And he's like, all right, and then he goes, Mike, Bill, like the guys behind him and stuff. It's just a lot of fun stuff in it. It's enjoyable. I forgot how many villains they tried to cram into part 2. Oh my god! Like I forgot Felicia Hardy was in this movie.
Yes.
Yeah. Now here's the thing: when you're trying to build your trilogy around villains like the Gentleman and the Finisher, characters that nobody, even Spider-Man fans, know, then you're in trouble. It's like the whole first act is the whole first scene is the Finisher killing Parker's parents. It's like, dude, no one knows who this guy is. It's like, and the Gentleman is the guy at the end of part 1, and no one would know that. And he was a guy that was introduced in like novels first, not even in the comics. But I like cramming in a bunch of guys. I like that. Look, we always argue about Dick Tracy. I do like the fact that there are a lot of characters. I just don't like that they all die. but I do like all the Marvel stuff they shove into this movie. It doesn't work, but it's a lot of fun. The Rhino is ridiculous. He looks like the problem with the Rhino is that it's too like, let's be cool. Yeah. He's going to have like machine guns on him. And it's so stupid.
Yeah.
It's like very throwback 90s, like extreme. Like he's going to shoot stuff and he's the fastest too. It's dumb. It's dumb.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why Green Goblin. I don't understand why Green Goblin still can't look like the Green Goblin. They even go so far as to say like he mutates into a goblin. Sure. Well, why isn't he green? What's going on? Like it's stupidness. But it's a lot of fun. It's campy. It's terrible, but like it's something that I would easily pop in and watch. Like I'm reminded now of how fun this movie is. It's totally going to be my nighttime viewing while I'm working. Like just
I've got all these on digital because I got the digital codes.
So I'd say part 2.
So wow, so this is crazy. So right now for Steve, it's a clear. You gave everything.
Yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man 2 beat part 1 in every aspect. For me, the story and pacing of part 1 is still better than part 2. It's too far in between the Spider-Man parts of Amazing Spider-Man 2 for my taste. So right now we're the clear winner is Spider-Man is Amazing Spider-Man 2. For me, it's not a clear winner, but it is a winner. The reason why if I go by my personal opinion now, forget this tablet that I've been, forget all this, forget this space theory, all that. I always go by hero, villain, story, which means yes, I put the story last because I'm here to see. Look, I'm a kid, you know. I want to see my heroes come to life. That's my number one thing that I want. I saw Amazing Spider-Man 1. I'm like, that is not Spider-Man. His costume is crap. And I'm like, okay. The villains. That is not the Lizard. He looks like garbage. Okay. The story. It's not that interesting. I'm done. That is the simplest way you can review a movie. Forget about my space and ranking it and giving a score out of 10 and 1 out of 2 and then I get a score. Forget it. It's like this is the way it works for me. It's like Batman 89. Yep, Batman is awesome. Man, Joker's awesome. Hey, the story's not too bad. There's a lot of cool stuff in this movie. There you go. This will help everyone understand why I like or dislike movies as a personal opinion of mine, not going through the steps of ranking it based on its, criteria or whatever. It's very easy. Amazing Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man's awesome. The villains suck, the story sucks. Oh well, but Spider-Man's cool. It's as simple as that. It is so simple and we just went through all this, the scientific method, and we came to a conclusion. A lot of people are going to disagree with us.
Yeah.
So I am going to put a link in the chat now, and we're going to give some time to people who want to voice. Now, listen, don't come in here all hot and heavy. We're trying to keep this civil, not civil war. I just made that up. Isn't that clever? We're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep it civil, not civil war. And I want you to tell me why you think part 1 or part 2 is better than the other. And I need actual reasons. If you come in and say part 2 is trash, part 1 is awesome, that is not a reason. I need an actual reason. We just gave you lots of reasons in our discussion here as to why. Sean, you went everything but story for part 2. So Steve is the most into Amazing Spider-Man 2, then Sean, then me. So Steve, you gave it 5 points out of 5, like 5 categories. It won in 5 categories. Sean, it won in 4 categories. Me, it won in 3 categories. Okay, is everyone ready? Take a deep breath here. The link is in. We're gonna be civil, right? Okay. Would you be open to seeing, while we're waiting for people to come in, would you be willing to see an Amazing Spider-Man 3 with Andrew Garfield? I'm going to start with Steve because Steve hasn't seen No Way Home. What do you think, Steve? Would you be open to Andrew Garfield?
Yeah,
hey,
I would. I'm open to anything Spider-Man.
Okay.
So I went and saw 2 after thoroughly disliking Amazing Spider-Man 1. And I liked Amazing Spider-Man 2 more than I liked Amazing Spider-Man 1. So 3 has the opportunity to make me say it's a good movie, which I'm not willing to say for 1 or 2 right now.
Right. Yeah. So you don't like either movie, but you're willing and open for a third one. Okay. So Andrew, how's it going?
Yo, what's up?
It's fine. Okay. I don't know who's. Everyone keeps changing their names. Pick a name. See, skeptic's always skeptic. So we always know who.
Andrew should have been Nightwing. Andrew should have been Nightwing.
Andrew who?
Andrew Garfield as Nightwing.
I thought you were talking about Andrew Casale.
Oh no.
So did
Andrew could do.
More like Alfred. He was more like Alfred.
Alfred was a villain at one point.
I'm just gonna call you Zach Boy because it's just easier. So Zach Boy. So what do you think, dude? You like part 1? Do you like part 1 way more, or just a little bit more?
Here's the thing: how you guys grew up on Toby's movies.
Mm-hmm. I didn't grow up You're already old men when they came
No,
out.
J-Man
We were
grew
old
up
men
with the
when that came out,
70s.
yeah.
with-
Yeah,
Well,
sorry.
I-
I grew up with the 67.
I grew up on the Amazing Spider-Man movies. Amazing
Young.
Spider-Man 2,
Hey,
I was
Clobby.
like between 10 to 12, and that was the first ever. I want to say that was like the first ever Spider-Man movie I ever saw in theaters.
Really?
I'm
Wow.
sorry,
Yeah.
which one was your
Interesting.
first one you ever saw?
Spider-Man 2 was the first ever Spider-Man
Amazing
movie I saw in theaters.
Spider-Man 2. Hey,
Yeah.
hey, Clobberin Tom's.
Clobby.
How's it going, bro? So hold on. So
Hey, it's
Hello.
Casale!
hey, so wait, Spider-Man 2, like the Tobey Maguire
Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh, so Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
So Amazing Spider-Man 2 was the first Spider-Man movie you saw. Oh, interesting. So what did you think in the theater? Did you really like it, or were you kind of like,
I loved it a lot.
that's okay.
Because of just seeing like everything that's in the movies in theaters as a young child who loves comic books and heroes a lot. That was breathtaking to see the fight between Spider-Man and Electro.
Look at this. Boot this man for saying that.
Well, I would have booted him, but I don't. I try not to boot people. But yeah,
Hey, it's a good casting.
Andrew Garfield should not be Nightwing. That's a fail casting. That's called hashtag fail casting. But okay.
No.
So yeah, so you really liked part 2. So when you went back to see part 1, did you see part 1 before you saw part 2?
I saw part 1 at home on DVD before, yeah.
So do you like part 1 a lot more or just a little bit more?
I actually, the more I think about it, and I recently rewatched both films.
Yeah.
The pacing near the beginning of part 1 is slow. That's like the only thing I got against it. Pacing for me for part 2 is really good.
Yeah,
The
so
pacing,
Sean and Steve are with you on that one. You know, I could be swayed. I think the problem with part 2 is that
I never got to say my thoughts.
oh yeah, well we're gonna get
All
to
about you.
I don't know, like somewhere along the line, I was because I like the Spider-Man parts of part 2 so much. It felt longer wait to get to Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So that was
I
sort
think
of my thoughts on that.
the reason I'm sort of championing 2 over 1 is that you can not, the right word isn't throw out, but like the first part of 1, you're sort of waiting to get past the origin story again to get to the story.
Right.
Whereas in part 2, I don't think you're going into original story. So you're not waiting to get past a part you already know about to get to a part you haven't seen before. So that's
a good point. Yeah, so that's sort of what Zach is saying, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like, yeah, it just doesn't get started right away. Hey,
Yeah.
Clobby, yes. I know Andrew Garfield from Doctor Who.
Then.
I know from Doctor Who, that's for damn sure.
Yeah, I remember him being in that too. He was in that was the one where they were in New York in Depression times, and he was an American in that.
It was the Daleks take Manhattan.
Yeah.
Was it the Daleks take Manhattan or in Manhattan? Hey Ron, I keep anytime it's Manhattan, I think of Jason Takes Manhattan. So it's not the Daleks take.
What about?
Oh, dude, yeah, I'm sorry. No, that's a lie. I was trying to be.
Muppets was before Jason. That's where we got the name.
No.
Muppets Take Manhattan. Yeah.
I apologize. Muppets Take Manhattan is the OG, but I think of Jason because Jason's my boy, right? Kermit's, Gonzo, Kermit, they're sick, right? Gonzo's one of the greatest characters of all time.
Kermit gets hit by a car in that movie. That movie traumatized me.
There's no
Kermit what?
Kermit.
I said Kermit is.
I laughed so hard when I saw that.
I'm not gonna lie, I haven't seen that film, but I did love Muppets in Space.
Wait, how am I younger than all you and I know that movie? That's my question.
Well, I've seen all the Muppet movies. We used to watch the Muppet Show.
Oh, I love watching the Muppet movies as a child.
And we saw
and the Muppet Babies.
I saw Muppets Take Manhattan in the theater. I had the comic book adaptation.
Jesus Christ, that's awesome.
That's actually really cool. Yeah.
I like the okay, we're getting off topic. Okay. Yeah, let's get back on topic. Okay, so hold on.
Mention Muppets.
Skeptic was the second person in. You like part 2 better, right?
Yeah, it just feels a lot more like Spider-Man.
All right. Yep. I know. I knew you were going to say that because we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Okay, so Andrew, I'm interested in Andrew's opinion a lot because Andrew
doesn't like
all of us really. Hold on. all of us really like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. They're great films. They transcend superhero films into being a little bit more greater than what they started out as or whatever. But Andrew, so if you're picking between the two Amazing Spider-Mans, which one do you like better? You got to pick one.
Well, since I made my own opinion on my ranking list once, I'm gonna go with the first movie.
You like the first movie better? All
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
The second one's just garbage. I don't care what none of y'all say.
Oh, look at this guy, Dark. How come every time Andrew comes on here, it's like a fire hazard or whatever? It's like a smoke alarm.
So
But
just
Andrew's
ignore them.
controversial.
He's
Ignore
controversial.
them. They just hate me.
It's good TV, man.
Everyone likes Andrew. Okay.
You kind of deserve that, Andrew, with the shit you talk about. Anyway.
Oh my God. Your people are allowed to voice their opinions. Okay, Ron, man, you came up with a lot. I just subbed to your channel, so everyone give a sub to Ron, man. You got a killer opinion here. So you gave a lot of points right away, which were like, yes, you already hit a lot of nails. So what do you think between 1 and 2?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. So you started with the plot and story, right?
Yep.
Okay. So it's funny because I like the second movie better. It's more entertaining, but I gave more points to the first movie. The first movie, the plot and story, it's easier to follow, I feel, because essentially you have the Lizard as your main villain, even though Peter, he's trying to track down Uncle Ben's killer.
And it's funny because forgets about him in the sequel.
You know who Uncle Ben's killer is, right?
Yeah, it's not Dennis Carradine.
It's himself. He's a fucking idiot in that
It's
film.
always been himself.
Okay,
can I just say that
Sorry.
Peter Parker was always the killer of Uncle Ben?
No, I'm not. We're not. We, I don't. We don't.
No,
we can,
I'm not
we
saying
can, we
that.
can debate.
I'm going to rewatch the movies. I'll be right back. But,
okay, Ron. So yeah, continue. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think the storyline is just easier to follow, right?
Yeah, because it's funny because right before this, I was thinking about the first movie, which I watched recently, The Amazing Spider-Man. And I was like, oh yeah, because Peter, he's tracking down that guy. He's looking for a tattoo, the person who killed his parents. And I was like, oh wait, he's tracking down Uncle Ben's killer. But
and then he forgets about him in the sequel.
First one, because it's a good first installment because it's easy to follow and there's not too many characters to deal with. So I give that one to The Amazing Spider-Man. The second one, I actually followed everything pretty well. Like it wasn't too complicated, but watching it back, there was so much going on.
Right.
Because if you remember, before that movie came out, right before, they already announced 3 and 4 got the green light. So I think they were like, just pack in as much as you can. Like I said in the comments, you had the Sinister Six set up at the very end, which I like. But even that, it's like, at the beginning of the movie, that opening scene with his parents on the plane, I thought that's going to be the focus. Somehow Max and the Rhino are going to be, linked to that, which wasn't really the case. But yeah, so the second one was good. There was just a lot going on, but I liked all the characters in that.
Okay. So then we did the pacing.
Okay. And then the artistry.
Yep.
Okay. The pacing, again, I went to 1 because 2, it's nice that they developed the relationship between Peter and Gwen, but there are a lot of moments in that where you're kind of like, there's this other stuff going on with the villains, and it's like taking away from that. And, so it's not really like a 1, 2, 3 kind of movie. There's just so much in there with the pacing. And even with the first act alone, like I said, with his parents, but then you have Max, you have the Rhino, you have Harry's come back into town. And so all those scenes work, but pacing-wise, it's just so much for one movie. So I give that to the first Amazing Spider-Man gets a point on that one.
Okay, so that's officially now, and this is I got links to your channels and I got links to Andrew's channel as well, which I'm also subbed to, so you guys can check Andrew out. Yeah, so pacing now officially we could say that pacing has edged out. Part 1 has edged out Part 2. Part 2 still wins overall in my thing, anyways, based on what we came up with beforehand. So it was kind of didn't really matter, but it's good to it's interesting to talk about it because there's so many different opinions on it, right? And like, what do you if you're into the Spider-Man parts, you're like, well, when's the next Spider-Man part? But if you're not into the entire story, it feels long too, right? So, and part one, because it's rehashing the origin, you're like, I already know this, like, let's get on with it. But on the other hand, you can follow it, so you kind of are in the zone more, right? It's weird, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so what do you think for the artistry between 1 and 2?
So that one, artistry, the visuals in that, I definitely gave that to 2. It's a visual masterpiece. I mean, there's just so many great shots.
Yeah.
And I think that, I mean, it's just everything works because there's a lot of different locations in the movie, but everything blends well together. And it's funny because nothing really stands out. It's just the whole movie looks great. So I give that one to 2. And the first movie, I think Sean had mentioned, the lighting. Because when you look back on it, it's visually, it's just not great. I mean,
it sucks. And Steve complained about the dark. Like, I remember sitting there thinking, like, what is going on? And then they've got these fights, and you're like, I can't really understand really what's happening here, right?
Dark Knight happened.
Yeah.
It was kind of like
first. Oh, sorry.
Nope. But go ahead.
Nope. When he first gets, he develops a suit in that, and he swings, and the mirror image on the building, like something like that stands out. And when he's swinging to Oscorp, when they help him with the cranes and that,
that was cool.
Those look good. But Amazing Spider-Man 2, you can just pick out so many great-looking shots. I think when Peter and Gwen, he was going to meet with her parents at that restaurant, and they're standing outside. It's like the music and the visuals. It looks so great. So that one I'll give the 2.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we all kind of agreed that was an easy win for part 2. It's just a much better crafted movie. This is Clobberin Times channel as well, guys. Give us some. I think everyone who's subscribed to me is already subscribed to Clobberin Times. I insert myself into his. I always insert myself into his streams whenever I can my way in. Okay, so then the next thing was the characters. Which characters you think were better?
The characters, it's kind of a tie right now because I'm not sure if I should go with like character developments because I like all the characters in that, but ultimately I'd have to give it to 1 because in 2, like I said in the comments, with the villains, there's a lot to juggle, and it's hard to connect with like the Rhino and Max because you don't see them at home. Like, what's going on with Max and that? And I'll give that one to 1 because Dr. Kirk Connors, we get time with him. Dennis Leary as the captain, and just a better setup of 1. And it goes back to like the plot and the pacing too.
Right.
So in 2, I mean, there are a lot more characters in that. And again, just like you, J-Man, I like that one overall too. But as far as character development and that, I'll give that to 1.
To 1, yeah. Okay, so 1 is at this point for you, 1 is kind of edging out 2, right? Because you're only so the enjoyment part of my I don't know if you've seen my other videos. I do space, right? So that's where we get this from. So story, pacing, artistry, character, enjoyment. I give a score out of 0, 1, or 2 out of 2. And this is how I do my reviews. So at the end, you get a score out of 10. So the enjoyment is really just whatever you thought was just better. Forget about like Army of Darkness is in my top 10 favorite films. And some people might say, well, it's kind of cheesy or what. I don't care. It's like, that's 10 out of 10. I don't care about what my review, what my critique is. My critique is that it's 10 out of 10 and Bruce Campbell's the best. So like, I don't care, so that's where the enjoyment comes in. Cause even if you're being critical of something and trying to point out the flaws or whatever, there's still this intangible thing in you that you're like, I like this movie, right? Like, I know it's not great, but I kind of like it anyway. So where would you score? Like, what would you say for 1 or 2? Which one do you just like better just as a movie, regardless of what you said of the pacing or the artistry or whatever?
Yeah, I'll give it to The Amazing Spider-Man 2 a 2.
Yeah. Yeah, so you liked it. So you like that one better. So I mean, it's weird, right? Like, I think it's good to have to break these down because you start to, it gives you talking points, right? You can kind of figure it in your own mind, like, why don't I like this, or why do I like this? And even though you might think, well, you know, the story was better in part one, but overall you liked part two better anyway, which is kind of weird, right? Like, you ever see in the Oscars where something wins Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Actress, but it doesn't win Best Director? It's like, how can that be? It's like he directed everybody, so that should be an automatic. Or you see Best Director, Best. I've seen that so many times: actor, actress, director, and then it doesn't get Best Picture, and you're like, what happened, right? Like,
yeah. And not to go too off topic, but isn't the No Way Home? Isn't that up for like Best Picture?
I saw somebody trying to push that. Like, is that actually really going to happen? That'd be weird.
Was there enough diversity in it that it would be considered?
Uh-oh. You said the D word.
It's criteria now, man.
Well, I think the Oscars has become more of a genre. Well, it became
Oscars
a genre.
is just trash.
Yeah, it's a genre.
It's like
it has
the
nothing
critics
to do with anything.
on Rotten Tomatoes. They're just trash.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's a little bit.
The problem is that, you know, just go on a bit of a, you know, not a long rant, but like the movie.
Yeah, go for it.
The movie folks really don't have great advocates anymore inside the industry. The best advocates are outside the industry, which are the fans. And inside the industry, if you just followed them, you would never have anything to do with Hollywood anymore, because it's just toxic negativity and just, you can write people's reviews now for them. I don't even read reviews. I just scan down to the rating, and I know what the rating's going to be before I read it. And it's that's not how it should be. We should have diverse opinions like we have on this panel. You should have the Zack Snyder fan who loves one and me who dislikes one, and we can have a conversation.
I love both, but one is not as good as the second one.
Right. So there you go. That's even different because a lot of people don't like either.
And I could write an article why I don't like one, and you could write an article why you love one, and I could read both and not cancel either one. And I could read Ron's one, which is like, well, I like two a little bit, I like one a little bit more, and I could read that. Like, that's great. I don't want to hear the same opinion over and over again, and I can just already know what the opinion is going to be. Why am I?
We should make a critic website.
That'd be interesting.
Those
like that. That's why. I mean, I came up with this space thing like a long time ago. I don't remember how long. Maybe Steve remembers. Was it in university? Did I have it in
2 weeks ago?
Sean, you're being muted. We're you know, Sean. Okay.
That's the fucking 50 DKP minus.
You know,
headache, J-Man.
That's it. I had to throw that on there.
Oh.
No, but I mean, because the thing is, like, I used to
subscribing.
A lot of people would just be like, "Oh, this sucks," or "This is trash," and you're looking at these reviews, you're like, "Okay, where are you coming up with this?" Or people, what pissed me off is people used to say, "Oh, that's 10 out of 10," and I'm like, "Whoa, 10 out of 10? Like, whoa, like 10 out of 10 is crazy. Like 10 out of 10 is like." You know, like friggin' Planet of the Apes Part 1, you know, and like Empire Strikes Back and like Superman and Part 1 and, you know, 2001 Space Odyssey. Not like, oh, 10 out of 10 and it's like, I don't know, like BVS or something. It's like, really? Like, oh, okay. You know.
Are you throwing some shade to Bill?
No, I
feel personal attacked.
Well, I'm glad that you feel personally attacked because I literally mentioned you by name when I said that. No, it's just like, see, this is what I'm saying. Look, but you know what, Zach, I'm glad you said that because that actually is what I'm talking about. It's like this, like everyone's like, I think me, Sean, and Steve. I don't know about you, Ron, and guys, and you get the other guys are. I don't know about you guys, but we grew up liking stuff that wasn't popular. Like I like Dungeons and Dragons. I like heavy metal, right? I like comic books, right? I liked horror movies. It's only now that these nerdy things become like, you know, you're watching Critical Role for Dungeons and Dragons and they've got like 5 million subscribers and they made $2 million on Twitch or something outrageous. You're like,
God,
What?
Well,
right.
to be,
Why am I working?
They made Sean, we should broadcast we're playing this week. We should broadcast that on Twitch. You can watch us play D&D for Christ's sakes and make $2 million. I'm not going to be as good as that guy on that thing, just to keep that in mind.
The guy who voices Cassidy from Overwatch.
Right. It's voice actors, and but anyways, and like heavy metal, like now everyone likes heavy metal. It's like I'm like, really, like no one gave two shits.
I mean,
like,
to tell the truth, in elementary school I was bullied for liking all those things, but
were you? Yeah, I mean, we were all...
even in middle school too, it was still like that. But in high school, people liked that stuff and didn't care if you were a big nerd about it. So.
Well, I'm sorry that you did go. If you going through stuff like that, it's tough. I mean, like I had a couple of buddies that were pretty cool with everything. So like, I think I really liked horror movies more than a lot of other things. So I was kind of like the weird. Like they're like, this guy is weird. Like, how about we just like not do anything? Because like I had Hellraiser pictures and it all like my entire locker was lined with stuff, and I had Elvira everywhere. So they're just like, yeah, this guy's weird. Why don't we just like, how about we not mess with this guy? My friends were nerdy, and so we took all the sciences and maths. I took all the maths and sciences and the advanced crap. So not popular. But now superheroes are popular. Like people are wearing, like you see all these people wearing like Spider-Man shirts. You're like, really? Like, I mean, I was running home to watch the Nicholas Hammond premiere that whatever night that, or not if it was the premiere, but it was the repeats. I love that. I love that series. It wasn't the premiere because that would have been too. Yeah, Sean, you got it. Yes, we all have it. Thank you. I've got the VHS release from Rhino.
I got a pirated copy.
Yeah, so there you go. Nicholas Hammond's awesome. Okay, so any other thoughts? Would you guys be open to seeing Andrew Garfield in Spider-Man 3? Let's go with let's start with Zach Fanboy because what are your thoughts?
I feel like since they announced Amazing Spider-Man 3 and 4 back before Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out, I think it's justified that they give him the 2 movies that he was promised, because seeing how Amazing Spider-Man 2 ended, I don't think his story's can only end with 1 movie. I think it has to be 2 movies.
2 movies. Okay, so you're definitely open.
Do you think it would be like oversaturating the market? I mean, I would like it, but
no, because the multiverse is open, which means these characters in the multiverse have stories that are still going on, but they're not being told. So
I just don't want Marvel turning into fucking like the DC EU right now. I don't even know what's going on with that right now.
Let's not get into that. Please.
All right, let's go to Ron then. Ron, are you? Did you like the Amazing Spider-Man movies in general, and are you open to Andrew Garfield doing a 3rd one?
Yeah, I definitely liked both of them. Like I said, the second one is definitely more entertaining, especially visually, the action in that. But I'm thinking, how they set up the Sinister Six at the end. And then you have Harry, who's still alive. So, because you remember when they're going through, the guy with the hat, I can't remember his name, but he's
Mad
walking
Hatter,
by like the, what's that?
The
Mad Hatter.
Oh, okay.
Not the Mad Hatter. What are you talking about?
That's the main guy behind the Batman trilogy now. Mad Hatter.
Oh. Is that a spoiler?
No, that's just a joke. That's just a joke.
I love the Mad Hatter.
Not have him be like this gentleman in this universe.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You got me excited for the Batman. I was like, oh my God, Mad Hatter's in this? It's like, okay. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Continue, Ron.
I don't know.
Let Ron continue.
So he's walking by, and you see like, a Doc Ock. You see his gear, his armor, and that. Yeah. And then, of course, the Rhino suit. So we saw the Rhino at the end.
Yeah.
So if they continue from the end of The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Gwen's still dead, and we set up the Sinister Six. But again, considering what we've seen in No Way Home, I mean, that was such a great movie. So it depends. And he goes, have you guys all seen No Way Home?
No.
Steve has not seen it.
I have.
Oh, okay. So I won't spoil that.
Yep.
Everybody dies. No.
Oh,
God. They pull a...
if they go off of the end of The Amazing Spider-Man 2, like they continue Garfield's Peter Parker's story, I'd like to see that as long as they spread out all the plots and storylines. So if 3 focuses on the Sinister Six
Right.
and maybe wraps up his parents. Well, they kind of did that in 2, I guess, but
Right. They
Right.
very
I don't
quickly,
know.
sort of
'Cause,
unconvincingly, in my opinion, and sort of pointless. It almost made the entire thing pointless.
Yeah,
It did.
the
Yeah,
deleted
it-
scene really makes things pointless. I'm glad they deleted it. Because like, why is his dad back and talking to him on a park bench for 6 minutes? Like,
It was weird, and I'm not sure if I wanted that in the movie, but it was a good
Yeah.
scene, kind of like
Yeah.
it had good acting and stuff. But
but it
Somewhere
renders the
along
entire
line-
movie useless. You know.
yeah,
Yeah,
'Cause
it
yeah.
veers a bit. Yeah.
because it takes away from what happened with Gwen in that.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
But it also depends because Mark Webb, if he's attached to it again, no pun intended there. That's a double pun.
Yeah.
But
Hashtag
so yeah,
release the Mark cut.
I'd like to see 3 because those movies, his Spider-Man being rebooted, I don't think it was Andrew's fault.
no,
Right.
it
His
wasn't.
performance wasn't bad or anything. So yeah, I'm all for.
I don't know.
Sony's fault.
Amazing Spider-Man.
Andrew Casale, do you think that Andrew Garfield's was a bad performance? Just curious.
What, his
What do you
movies?
think,
or-
Andrew?
Yeah, like-
No,
Andrew,
his
no, his
would you be
performance.
open?
Spider-Man, Andrew.
Okay, first off, do I want a third movie with him?
Yeah.
No, I do not.
Oh my god.
So you think he's good with?
I'd rather
Do,
one.
do you,
I saw
hey,
that coming.
Andrew,
I
do you
saw
want a
that
4th
coming.
movie with Tom Holland?
No, I want a 4th movie to this trilogy.
But
Yeah,
he's
the
so
trilogy
old
that-
now.
46 is
If
not
this is
It'll
on-
old.
work, but
Emphasis on the back meme.
Oh my.
I
All right,
Is
so
that a thumbs
Andrew's
up?
saying no to. Andrew's saying no to.
Andrew's saying no
Garfield.
to nothing but Raimi.
Look
I
at
mean, okay,
Wait.
but so Skeptic, would you want to see Garfield Part 3?
Arkham Gaming, come on.
look at
I'd love
Arkham
to see
Gaming's
that. I'd
comment.
love to see Nicholas Hammond have a cameo still.
I desperately want that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pissed
Come
that
on,
didn't happen
dude.
in No
Not
Way Home.
cool. Not cool.
What?
Trash Toby.
Please.
What?
Oh,
Hey,
it's
Toby's not
cool.
trash.
I
He's
think-
just
They're just
old.
trying to inflame Andrew.
See, Ron,
Fuck Gage. I don't care
Ron,
what you
are
say.
you new to all
And they
this?
succeeded.
Yeah.
Ron, are you new to all this? Anytime these 3 that are not you, me, or Sean, Steve, anytime these other people are on, they get into this debate over this. Toby,
Hey,
because,
I
like,
don't
Andrew,
hate Toby. He's just too old to be my
Oh
Spider-Man.
There's not going to
God.
be. There's not
You
going to
know
be a Toby
Spider-Man
Maguire.
is
He
called
doesn't have
a
to be
man,
out.
right? Like, he's a
Like,
man.
I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about right now. He's too old to become.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's
Andrew.
the screen is,
Andrew.
Yeah, there we go.
Andrew,
Don't
Oh, it's
say a
it's
word.
this.
Oh, yo.
Oh, oh.
Hey, that was a good movie. That was a good movie.
it was
Yeah,
a good movie. I'm
that's-
just being an asshole.
Man.
That's crazy.
I was just an insert.
So that's a no to Amazing Spider-Man.
He's a no. Sean, did I? Sean, did I don't think I asked. Did I ask you or no? Did I miss?
No, you didn't
what
ask
do you-
Sean.
Oh, what do you think, Sean? He's frozen in a.
Oh,
Every time
I'll
Sean
watch it.
freezes, it's a.
But that-
oh.
but it's
Looks
not
like he's
true.
up for it.
Wait, it looks
Hey,
like
that's pretty-
Steven's
take
turn.
a
Okay, never mind.
screenshot.
Like I
I'm not
ripped
listening
something
to
out of
my
your
mouth.
heart.
You monster.
It was just Doc Ock.
It's not true. It's not going to be a true part 3 because
frozen.
part 1 and 2 are leading to something, and part 3 will not do that. The other thing too
Right.
is I don't know. Like, here's a
I'm
spoiler
leaving.
for
Oh,
No Way
leave.
Home. I don't
Oh.
know how
Killed him.
the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man doesn't know about these other villains that they were set up in the end of part 2. That means that all this time on through his like aging and stuff like that, they never followed through with the things that they showed at the end of part 2. Then all of a sudden, when he's adult, then they'll come out. Like
Well, they
it's
could be
kinda
like
weird.
they could be like
Yeah.
they saw him. Wait, can I spoil like a part of a
Well,
like
it's
saying
like
something
there's
when
he
he
said?
saw Doc Ock, wouldn't he be like, "Oh, there's a guy like that in my thing," you know? But no, that never happened.
Yeah,
right?
I got what you're saying, Sean. The problem is that part 2, because it was so heavily focused on Sinister Six, dropping little hints and showing the arms and showing the wings, and the fact that doesn't happen because
Yeah.
if he sees Otto Octavius, he'd be like, "Hey, you have a Doc Ock in your universe, just like I have one in mine."
Yeah.
But he doesn't say that. So if they do part 3 now, when is that part 3 taking place? It's going to be taking place after the events of this movie.
Well,
he's
how
he's
it
older
works.
anyways as an actor, so it has to be after. Let me just say this last thing. I would like to see another Andrew Garfield one, if only for the fact that it would be non-cynical. I feel like these two movies were very cynically made. They were just made just to have a Spider-Man thing out there. They're too reactionary to what was going on at the time. The first one came out when Avengers came out, so with the next one they're like, let's set up 100 things quick. Right. Sinister Six, it's like the first one was very heavily influenced by Chris Nolan's Dark Knight movies, so it's dark and crappy. It's like I just want to see a regular normal movie. I think Andrew Garfield deserves it. He's a great actor. I think he'd be great with a great movie. And that's why I would like to see a part 3.
Spider-Man.
That is funny. Okay, Caleb. Okay,
that's a
Steve,
great idea.
This is here we go. This is an idea. Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, Spider-Man Blue is one of the best things ever written for Spider-Man. It's up there with 150, which was the football one, the locked room mystery, the one with the kid, which is a big famous one. The kid who was a fan of Spider-Man. But Spider-Man Blue is one of the most emotional Spider-Man stories ever. If they could adapt that, that would be incredible.
That entire series, so that was a series, I don't know what you want to call it, the Colors series or whatever.
Yeah, the Colors series. Yeah.
Hey, Anthony.
What's up, Jim, man?
The Colors, there was Daredevil Yellow, Hulk Gray, Spider-Man Blue. What was it? Was there another one?
Those are the 3. I have all 3. Those are the only 3 I knew.
Those are
Spider-Man Red.
No, it's just blue.
No, there wasn't Spider-Man Red, was there?
Like red and blue.
No. But yeah, like those were all good. I think. I
agree with Caleb.
Which part?
His newest comment, right? Yep, I agree with him. He's the MVP tonight.
So no. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
But they're not. They're not.
Why are you talking about Andrew continuing on? I think Andrew Garfield deserves a start. Have him in the Sony-verse Spider-Man, because Sony, don't get me wrong, you are a trash company.
Hey, at least you're not as trash as Warner Bros.
You need a Spider-Man for your universe. So you could call Andrew before he win his Oscar, because he might have a chance of winning an Oscar this year for Tic Tac Boom. But like
that movie was great. That movie was great.
Because then you're Spider-Man. You cannot have Venom without Spider-Man. That is bullshit.
Yeah.
Just saying. Sony just dropped the ball with that. They could have called Andrew to do the first Venom, but whatever. Just have him continue in the Venom universe or in the Sony universe with the spin-off movies they got with Kraven the Hunter. Nobody asked for a Kraven the Hunter movie.
I want it.
I would rather
don't we saw him in No Way Home as a silhouette? As a solo, as like
we saw him as a silhouette.
Yeah, we saw Black Cat, we saw Mysterio, Rhino, comic accurate Rhino, and what else? And others.
Which comic accurate?
I only saw Rhino and Kraven. Who's the other one you said?
I don't like Rhino. I think Scorpion.
We saw Mysterio, but it's a different version of Mysterio, not the same one we saw.
They need to do Scorpion right now.
Scorpion. Yeah, you saw Scorpion there.
Next movie should be Scorpion
Spider-Man,
and Vulture. Next movie should be Scorpion and Vulture.
No, not and Vulture. Just Scorpion. I don't like multiple.
No, Scorpion, because there's rumors he might show up in the Morbius movie.
Can Scorpion hold up a movie?
Morbius movies all over the place.
That's the reason
why. What universe does it take place? Does it take place in Tom universe? Does it take place in Andrew universe? Like
I can't see it taking place in Toby's universe or Tom's universe.
No, not Toby. They're not doing that.
I can't see it take place in either Tom or Toby's universe because one, we see spoiler for Venom Let There Be Carnage. At the end of that, we see
nobody gives a shit.
Venom teleporting to that universe. And if it took place in Toby's universe, then how did the symbiote survive the pumpkin grenade?
But then again, every symbiote.
Hey, get
But forget every symbiote from the multiverse will know Peter Parker. Think about it, because just say Topher Grace is a trash Venom. Yes, Topher is trash. But then that his Venom knows that he's Peter Parker, so that's the reason at the end of Let It Be at the end of Trash Venom 2, the the symbiote only knows Spider-Man because he fought him before. So
I mean, this okay. This is my review. Oh gosh, this is my Venom review.
oh, terrible. Yeah.
Fucking awful. J-Man,
This is the reason why I cannot wait for the MCU to do a great Venom story.
I have a theory.
That's the reason I can't wait for them because
All
right,
Can I give you guys my theory?
Stacy?
Okay, so let's. Arkham's gonna come in. Caleb needs to talk. Let's get this guy.
Sure.
All right, Caleb, let's give you the floor here.
All right, so as you all know, I'm a huge Talon fan. I think those movies are goated. Love Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. What am I supposed to be talking about?
Whatever. Do you want Andrew Garfield to come back for part 3, or you think it's okay?
Yeah, I want to come back for part 3. I think if he's in the Sonyverse and like he's in like Venom 3 and he fights Venom there, I think that'll be
Spider-Man 4 not happening, but okay.
It'll be Spider-Man 4.
Okay, guys, hold on. Let Caleb get his.
Or he comes back for another solo movie. I think that'd be cool. I think the best route to go with another solo movie for Andrew would probably be Spider-Man Blue. Cause I just feel like that fits more in his line for like what could come next for him. Especially since like I do agree with you. Like doing Sinister Six now would kind of be weird, saying like how time has passed in that universe. So why would you do it now? But so yeah.
I know a way for that to work.
That would be weird.
I know a way for that to work.
What, Sinister? Yeah, but the thing is, it's like now we have Vulture and Doc Ock in the other movies. It's like there's no need.
I don't know if they would do Doc Ock again, and then
right,
I don't think.
Why would you do it again?
It
be so hard to tell.
I don't think can they even do Green Goblin at this point?
No, they could. They
already
could.
have them.
Not in Tom's universe.
They could do different Green Goblins. They could do
Ned.
But Ned only got framed in the comics. He didn't let's get that. He only got framed.
You could do a Norman Osborn MCU, but I don't think you could do a Green Goblin because he just fought
Green Goblin in the MCU cannot work.
No, MCU could work. What are you talking about? We saw that No Way Home.
Yeah.
Even if
Arkham, what are your thoughts, buddy?
I want to see Amazing Spider-Man 3. Like for me, I really like his Spider-Man, and I feel like there's so much more story you can do with Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. Like I feel like there's a lot of story left for the character, and I don't think they'll do the Sinister Six, but like if you have talented writers and stuff talented writers to figure out a way to do excellent story, I feel like it's doable. Like I just want to see Andrew Garfield back as Spider-Man. Give him his movie or something, because like in my opinion, he's not that old. Like he's.
He looked like he was like 30 and No Way Home.
He's like J-Man's age. He's not that old.
He's like 38.
No, he's younger.
He's 30 in real life, but he looks like he's between 25 and 30. He doesn't look that old.
Wait, how old is Andrew Garfield?
38.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
30 something.
Yeah.
And there's more story. Like there's more story towards the character. Toby, there's nothing.
Fuck that.
I feel
like
there could be something.
Am I good?
Yeah, Toby kind of had somewhat of like a trilogy is enough. Like give one movie to close it off, and then maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think also like a No Way Home setup. Yo, what's that noise?
Is you okay, love you?
I'm hearing that too. A lot of static.
Yes, well, I'm hearing. Hold on.
Yeah,
it might be me.
I think Ron wants to say something.
Okay, Ron, go ahead, Ron, while we're waiting for Caleb to come back.
Okay, I got one for all of you. And just thinking out loud. So, not spoiling anything in No Way Home, but the blip in Infinity War, did that affect the multiverse? Like all the different Spider-Mans and that? What do you guys think?
I don't
So
think
that
so.
I would.
I don't think it affected
know.
it because the Infinity Stones can only affect the universe they're in.
Yeah.
That was established by
in
that
the
garbage
comics,
what if.
but
Yeah, even in the comics, they only
Well, it was established in
affects
Loki.
that one universe.
Yeah, it was
it's
established in that
established
garbage
in
Loki show, and it was established, and it was reinforced in that garbage What If show. Except he could still use
Oh my gosh.
he could use he could use the Infinity Gauntlet in all the dimensions in What If, but she couldn't use the Stone Crusher because it wasn't her stones. Whatever.
Well, to be fair,
there's no fairness.
COVID stopped that episode from airing.
Doesn't
The
matter.
director came out and said they couldn't finish the episode on time. So they might have saved
It's
that for
animation.
It's
animation take a long
Anthony,
time.
you're not gonna convince J-Man that's not correct.
Animation take a
that
long
is
time to
correct.
do. That's the reason why they started working on Invincible.
Arkham is correct.
Put
You're
out-
not going to
put
convince
out-
me What If was good.
It is what it is. So
Yeah, What If was awful.
if it's shit, it's shit. Yeah.
I mean, what if? I mean, to me, What If was a 7 out of 10. It's not that
Yeah,
no good
Anthony
episode.
It was a hard 6 out of 10.
It's like I haven't done my space technique on it, but if I was to do it, it would not be happy. It'd probably be like a 2 out of 10 or something like that. The animation.
2 out of 10.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty low.
That's pretty low. so I'm gonna tell you
that is a very true statement. That is.
I mean,
The
hey,
stories were
a
garbage.
lot of people like you on Twitter. Just saying.
Well, a lot of people are dumb though. That's
No, not really.
I mean,
Not really.
It goes back to what J-Man was saying. We're used to not liking stuff that everyone likes and liking stuff that no one likes. So
I'm very at home. I'm very at home with my love of the movie that everyone hates. I don't care. I'm and even you guys don't love it that much, which is fine.
Wonder Woman 84. Jesus.
Wonder Woman 84. You of course.
Yeah, the movie that started COVID-19.
It started COVID. I read that article. That was a very peculiar article. I think it wasn't well researched, but anyway. But yeah, What If it was bad? But I mean, I like Amazing Spider-Man. I have to say I didn't like them at first, but after seeing Andrew in this movie, I kind of warmed up to it. I did, and I went back and my old review of Amazing Spider-Man 2, I think, is still on my channel, and I loved the Spider-Man parts. I still have the same idea. I was talking it up, saying this is so
Spider-Man
great.
stuff is the only good stuff, isn't it?
The Spider-Man stuff is solid.
Yeah.
The villains.
But if you
parts
think
are
about it,
awful.
No Way Home fixed a lot of stuff from the Amazing Spider-Man.
It
like
fixed
the
some of the
villains.
villains. It fixed
Yeah,
Electro
villains and stuff.
for sure. Like Jamie Foxx was way like I don't know. I don't want to say he stole the show.
I
but
like
shit,
the
he
comic
was up there.
accurate suit. I like the comic
The
accurate thing. they
suit
did
was
with him.
great. I love the fact that he was like. I don't want to get too much into the details. If
He didn't want to be in a makeup shit. That's the reason why he didn't like.
Well,
that's too much.
Whatever the reason is, he shouldn't be blue. I think blue is the Ultimate's Electro. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is from the Ultimate comic.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, I don't like the Ultimates. I think
Which that's the reason
Morales
why
was the only
Mark
character
Webb was
to come
doing a
out
lot of
that.
stuff from the Ultimate comics, which
was.
again why he's going. I mean, and the original idea for Amazing Spider-Man was going to be like the Clone Saga. That Captain was Captain Stacy was going to come
I have a
back.
It was gonna be a clone saga. It was gonna be like Gwen was gonna come back. Everybody.
They could do the Jackal. Could they do the Jackal for part 3 and have him?
Would they
done.
do it though
True.
where he's wearing a suit, or would they do it where he turns into a jackal?
No, I would want this. I always want comic version.
Right.
Where's
Well, he does-
Chameleon? You should get
Later
Chameleon.
on, he does turn into like a
Chameleon. You want to see Chameleon in live
I want
action?
to get fucking Chameleon.
I think Chameleon would be dope, honestly.
I mean, he's good in video games, but I don't know how he would
Video
translate
Yeah,
in live
yeah,
action.
that'll be like interesting
Why is he
how
been in
they,
a
how they
video
do
game?
it in live.
He was
live
amazing. He
action.
was in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 game.
Oh, was he? I didn't play that.
No.
Well, I mean, he would just.
he's
That was a
good
good
as a
game.
team up villain because his thing is he puts on like he can assume other people's identities. Those guys
Yeah, which is like okay.
Yeah.
generally need muscle. You could do them with
He needs
Craven because they're
muscle.
brothers.
You know, when I was
You would have
questioning,
to,
Yeah.
How would you do that? You would have to have Rhino or something working for him or something
They,
weird.
I feel like they were building up to Chameleon in those Amazing Spider-Man movies because he is part of that storyline.
oh
And they probably
right,
explained the father
and the coat.
Yeah.
at the end. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, we saw a little bit
I
of
got
Venom
you.
in at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2. that guy with the gentleman walking, which
Yeah.
was like
The gentleman, yeah.
Maybe I'm crazy, but I really don't want them to
Mad
do
Hatter.
the Venom storyline, like the Black Suit storyline in 4. I want them to wait until 5 at least. I want them to
no.
have like a.
Well, we don't know what happened to the symbiote after. Well, never mind.
I want
I
a
do- I
truly
cer-
down to earth movie for the 4th one.
No, for
Yeah.
Tom Holland's 4th movie, I want the proper costume which we saw for the whole movie. I don't want him to lose that or whatever. I want
No, I
one
think it's
more
gonna
I
stay
agree,
for the
I
whole
agree.
movie. They
I think
reset
they'll keep it for the movie.
they reset the character at the end of the movie. That's what they did.
Yeah.
And that was smart for Sony to do. To
Yeah.
reset
I would
the
like to see
character.
Kingpin as a main villain. Kingpin.
That'd be cool.
I think that would be dope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think at this point, since he's so disconnected from the MCU now, Sony might just have
Oh, we
full
lost
reign to that
someone.
character pretty
We
soon.
lost Caleb.
Yeah, Caleb will come.
but I
No,
agree.
for like, if I was
would,
doing
I
Spider-Man
would like
4,
to see
I will have
Kingpin
Kingpin and
because
then
he is in the
Scorpion.
MCU. Like,
Yeah.
I would want to see that, like,
I would too.
that rivalry between Spider-Man and Kingpin.
But you know
we're
what?
gonna
I think
do
what
that.
Sony's gonna do on Marvel, I think Scorpion is gonna have the
Yeah, I
the
want
symbiote.
Scorpion, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
like
think he's gonna have the symbiote because in the comics he had the symbiote for a little bit.
I
Right?
would want to see Scorpion because he was teased in the MCU, but we never.
We don't know what happened. I don't know how.
I don't know
they
what
did it,
happened.
pretty much.
Would you want to get
Yeah.
the blue or the green suit?
Green. Why is there a blue Scorpion? Oh no, God no.
From the
green-
90s.
green
I like the blue
Scorpion.
one.
Well, you talking
I
about the
do.
one from the animated series?
I like the blue suit a lot, actually.
The
because it
anime series was green
differentiates. Because
suit.
there's, I like it because it differentiates from other villains. Because there's so many green Spider-Man villains.
That's because Spider-Man's blue and red, so the green is the other color to go
Yeah.
against it.
Yeah.
Well, green is my favorite color, and Scorpion's in my top 5 favorite Spider-Man villains. And I role play a Scorpion when Steve does his villains role playing game sessions, and I'm always either Scorpion. Scorpion's my go to for villains. I love Scorpion; he's great.
Yeah,
I
Caleb
want this
needs the link.
actor-
Yeah, Caleb needs to link. Okay.
Oh, sorry, dude.
Yeah, but
Just
I,
as long
I,
as,
do have a
think
question.
and
Anthony.
the actor who they got for Scorpion, he looks good.
He's a
He's a good
great
actor.
actor. You saw him in
Yes.
Saul, Better Call Saul, and
Yep.
I just want to see like Scorpion in the universe. Like he was teased,
Yeah.
but he was never like. They didn't do anything.
He doesn't know
with the
Peter
character.
identity.
We
He
should
doesn't
do a
know
tier
who Peter
list about
Parker.
the MCU villains.
Yeah.
and he looked good in that video
So
game. Like,
technically,
there was that video game where he looked pretty good. I don't know which one. Which
oh,
Spider-Man
Spider-Man
PS4.
movie game
Yeah.
or
Spider-Man
the
PS4.
Spider-Man PS1 game.
I think the PS4 game he looked pretty
no
damn
PS4
cool.
game. Yeah, the
PS4
PS4
game.
Spider-Man. Yes, he was
Yeah,
Like it was
Was
like
he in
the
that again? Yeah, he was. Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
He looks
Marvel
good.
Spider-Man is
Yeah.
called.
yeah, he looked really good.
And No Way Home did
Didn't even go on
No Way
making
Home
that
did a
sequel
lot of
from
moves from
PS4.
PS4 games.
I just
So
don't
yeah,
want it
it
to be
was
this.
moving.
I hated the design of Scorpion in Spider-Verse. That looked horrible. So I hope they don't do anything.
Oh, I
like
hate that too. I hated that. Even though I bought the toy of it, but I still hate
Hate
it.
crimes, hate crimes.
I bought it because it was. I buy any Scorpion thing. I don't have I have the Marvel Legends Scorpion, so I'm like that's the best. But it's like I had to buy. I had to
Okay,
buy
man, that goes
Scorpion.
against the Jignita. I forgot what it's called.
Speak English.
What?
I can't wait when Spider-Man team up with the Avengers again because they don't know who he is. So he got to
I
introduce
don't
himself
want
to
him in the
them again.
Avengers.
No, I just.
I don't want to be in the Avengers for at least like
No, for another
couple
until like
movies.
Secret Wars, until they do Secret Wars.
Yeah, like I don't want him to be like a main Avenger,
Yeah.
like that. Nah.
Yeah, I don't want.
I want
don't like that
Daredevil to
either.
be a main
But I think
character
the
in
only
next
one who
one.
knows him is Doctor Strange.
No.
I think he knows
Yeah,
him.
maybe.
Other than that, they don't know who he is.
I
Does
kind of
Doctor
agree.
Strange
Like
still know him?
Doctor Strange would probably still know who he is.
Yeah, he's not gonna
No,
forget.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? I mean,
No, it's
Yeah.
reset. It's completely reset. It's,
yeah, true. Yeah, the reset, so he technically doesn't have a past or history with him.
Yeah.
So,
You know, Steven, earlier you were talking about how you just like hate how long it takes for the origin story of Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
There's a whole damn trilogy for this motherfucker.
Oh, well, I know, but we kind to a certain
Hey,
kind
to
of
be
that's not
fair,
a
This
At least
trilogy
they're
is an
making- at
origin
least-
story. I'm sorry.
At least they're making an
No, it's
animated
5 films.
series. At least they're making an animated series that connects to Tom's origin story
Yeah.
because we never saw.
Yeah, I'm excited for
So
that.
Tom's origin
rushed.
story.
I think he was rushed.
So Tom's origin story
the
is
Sony deal
3
with Spider-Man
movies,
and
3
Marvel. He was
crossovers
rushed.
with the Avengers, and 1 animated movie.
Yeah.
I bet in the animated series, Uncle Ben is just gonna like be this boyfriend that like
Uncle Ben.
No,
Uncle
Ben died during the
What?
battle.
like
of
just like
2012.
breaks up with the. Like he seems like he just means nothing to Peter. Like he
Nah,
doesn't
bro.
even he doesn't
No.
mention anything. He doesn't
I
really
wonder if
mention
it's a-
Uncle Ben when the others do. When the other
Uncle
Spider-Man
Ben
do,
died during the
so
2012 battle.
I wonder what?
That's-
That's
We
trash,
never got
Anthony.
an
I
explanation.
wonder.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
I kind of wonder if it's like a legal reason why they can't mention him. There's
No,
like,
I don't think that is.
No,
Because
it
they've had the
is. It
fucking-
is a legal reason.
There was a deleted scene from Homecoming that had Uncle Ben in it,
What?
where
Where?
he died. Yeah,
In No Way Home?
I
When
mean,
he died,
no,
what are you talking
Homecoming. Homecoming.
In Homecoming? Where
Yeah,
is this?
there was gonna be a flashback where he died, but they took it out.
Well, where's that?
So we're not
Where's
sure.
that
Oh
deleted?
yeah, Aria Rad. Yeah.
I've never seen
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Like, is
All
it,
right,
can I
guys. Well,
just
we're gonna
find
end it. We're gonna end it off there.
I don't think you can like
Alright,
watch the whole
good, man.
thing, but I think
So,
it,
so J-Man, what's the verdict of this versus?
Well, Amazing Spider-Man 2 won.
oh my god.
What?
What?
yes,
No
yes,
way.
let's
That movie
go.
gave me COVID.
Let's go.
Well,
Oh my god.
No,
Don't
Wonder
spread it
Woman
in the
84
chat.
gave COVID.
Bro, no, but like the only good part in Amazing Spider-Man 2 is literally Spider-Man and Gwen, and that's
Yeah, I kind of agree with
The whole Peter and Gwen relationship was really
I
good.
hope we never
Yeah,
get a
that's it.
Spider-Gwen in the movies.
I just
I
know.
don't like Spider-Gwen.
yeah,
Spider-Man.
she's called
Mm.
Ghost Snake. She's called Ghost.
I mean, yeah,
Spider.
she's gonna
Either
be
Ghost Spider or
Spider-Gwen
Spider-Gwen.
anyways.
I just want Spider-Woman.
No,
Spider-Woman's
she's
cool.
cool.
Jessica Drew?
Jessica Drew's cool.
Yeah.
No, she's not.
You don't know
Are you
anything
sure?
about
It's
Yeah,
gonna
that.
be a while
No,
directing a
Je-
Spider-Man movie.
Look at
Jessica
the modern day
Drew's-
Spider-Woman
Drew's
comics.
cool.
That's gonna be what
we
they
need
adapt.
Spider-Gwen. F that.
Yes,
No,
yes, Spider-Gwen.
sucks.
Spider-Gwen all the way.
With her,
No, she
with her,
does
with
not
her
suck.
identity
She's
in
off.
her name.
Spider-Gwen's awesome.
It's like
You said
Why
Spider
is
what?
with.
Spider-Gwen awesome? Why? Explain.
Hey, J-Man.
You said what, Jimmy?
Ron,
Go ahead, Ron.
Oh, okay. I just want to say one more thing to bring
Yeah.
it back to Electro. It's funny because seeing him in No Way Home, I was like, he looks really cool. And I watched part of 2, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 after that, and I was like, all of a sudden he looked ridiculous to me. He kind
I
of
know,
looked like
he's awful.
Zordon with the cape and that. And
Yeah, he
What?
was
I never
Zordon.
had
You
a
didn't
problem
see
with
the
it
film?
before. But
Yeah, I think once
in
you
No Way
see.
Home,
He
This
does
isn't like
look
a big-
ridiculous. He does look ridiculous.
Yeah, it wasn't a great design.
It remind me of Mr. Freeze from Batman.
No,
and
it's
Robin.
fucking Riddler.
Don't get me started with that.
This design is
Mr.
better
Freeze.
than Batman and Robin all the way.
Yeah, it's Mr. Freeze
But,
and Zordon.
Yeah, it remind me of that with his makeup.
Sean looks
and for those of
disgusted
you
at
who
that
haven't
thing.
seen No Way Home, this isn't like a major spoiler. But when
Oh,
Electro, when he arrives in that,
Mm-hmm.
that gap should have come back in his teeth, right?
No.
Since he's back to his regular form.
But he's also.
Oh
an
well, okay.
goddess,
When he
you
tramp,
know.
I think when he
don't
transformed to
Wait,
the
what did
Amazing
it say?
Spider-Man verse, he will look blue. I think he will look blue, which he will have the gap teeth.
I hope they
No,
don't
but
do
he
a
was
man
being
spider.
zapped.
thing.
That's
He's in an
what-
empty
yeah.
comics change.
But I don't think if we see Electro again for Andrew, I think he's just gonna have a normal look. I don't think he's gonna have the blue no more because Jamie Foxx don't want that. He doesn't want that.
Yeah, he
Just
doesn't
like-
want to.
He
That's all
realized
we'll
he
see.
made
He
that.
doesn't want that, bro.
Electro
Yeah.
Am I the
Yeah,
only
we'll
guy
have
that
to
wants
deal with that.
Tarantula?
Yeah, I love Tarantula. He's great.
I want Tarantula.
Yeah, he's great.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah,
you put him in an animated
he's a
movie.
B-level villain. He turns into an actual tarantula at one point, so that was kind of cool. But
Yeah.
But he's in
He's a
Spectacular
monster. He's not
Spider-Man
a-
number
he's not a
red
one.
with the
guy.
black spider.
And he's
Yeah.
and he's from Spectacular Spider-Man issue 1, which I have. So that's
Yeah, I
great.
have the poster
Yeah.
right there.
That's what the
Okay,
next
guys.
Tom Holland movie should be called, Spectacular Spider-Man.
We are done. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. We'll see you next
Thank
time.
you. Peace.
Hey friends, you've just been listening to J-Man, and he is the smartest person who ever lived. So make sure you like and subscribe.